recording this meeting. And I've asked, nobody's ever really answered this one. Are you guys all getting on your computer a message that says this meeting is being recorded and you click continue to acknowledge it?
No.
Great.
Oh, it just says recording.
Yes.
Okay, up in the top. All right, so
Left.
just make it clear that the meeting is being recorded. And I'm calling it to order, and I'm going to share the screen with our agenda. And this is what, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the pre-meeting. Because we're so tight on quorum, what I would like to do is rearrange this agenda just a little bit. And after number one, the call the meeting to order, even though it seems like we should talk about the meeting protocols and all that stuff, I would like to immediately move to item 6 to interview and appoint our 2 candidates who are here for the open board seats, because that helps with quorum. And then on the still just in case, I'm scrolling real fast. I would like to skip all the way to Treasurer's Report, item 13A, approve the monthly expenditure report, because it is mandatory for us to do that, or else we will get a ding from the city clerk because we're running out of time. We have 3 days to get that done. So if that is okay, the first order of business is call to order and approval of agenda. And I would like to, I don't know if I can make this motion, so
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended by Laura.
And
I'll second it.
okay. And here's an oops. And hold that thought, because I realize we need to do a roll call. And Greg, I didn't even give you a darn BAC. So just so sorry, you guys. I'm going to do a roll call really, really, really quick. And then we're going to catch up. And this is just being recorded on our audio. John Arnold.
Yes, here.
Gabby. Absent. Carlos.
Yep, here.
Dorit.
Here.
Tori.
Yeah.
Chris Carlson.
You're
I know
muted,
she-
Chris.
Muted. Here.
He's present.
I was
Greg
muted.
Jackson.
Present.
Raheem.
Here.
Isaac.
Here.
Hugh Moore.
Here.
Marielle.
Here.
Cordell is
Absent.
absent. Michael Kimbrough.
Absent.
Not here.
Okay, Laura Myers here. Paul King absent and excused. Hugo Rodriguez absent and excused. Paula Southern.
You're muted, Paula.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Lizzie.
Here.
Janie absent and excused. And I should say that Gabby is absent and excused. Nancy Cruz.
Not here.
Okay. And that is the roll. Okay, so back to all in favor, now that we know that we have, oh, Gabby is here just by the way, you guys, she's arriving. Now that we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda with a slight changes of moving up number 6A and number 13A to the top of the agenda. All in favor, just by voice.
Aye.
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 Hi.
Okay, and any opposition? Okay. This has been okay.
Everyone can mute, please. There's some distraction.
Yeah. Okay. So, and again, for members of the public, I'm sorry, we'll come back to public comment really shortly. But the first item on the agenda that we are actually going to be dealing with is, I have the word interview, but hopefully quickly. Interview and appoint candidates for the open UNNC governing board seats. These are both at-large representatives. There's 2 seats, Group A. It runs through just through essentially May, June of this year, 2021. The executive committee did interview 2 candidates, Jasmine Johnson and Hunter Hall. They are both here. Their applications were in the packet. I apologize that we had the wrong link. I hope you guys had a chance. I then sent them out to you. And we were doing this in alphabetical order, or yes, let's do that. So Hunter, if you are able to turn on your video and your mic and say hello and give us a real quick 1 minute to 90 seconds intro to yourself and why you want to serve on the UNNC board, please.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
You can. Great. Hi. Wearing my running gear right now. How you all doing? I'm Hunter. I moved to the neighborhood in 2018. So we bought a house here. And we want to invest in the neighborhood. I'm very active in Santa Monica. I run a business improvement district, and I work with neighborhood groups there. I realize that's a totally different city, but I understand how government works, also how neighborhood councils work and how important they are. I act as a government contractor for a couple of different cities, and I'm also a lobbyist. I do a lot of small business advocacy work, not only locally but on the state level, and on a very small way on a national level. I'm a restaurant guy by trade, and what else? That's really it. I'm a lifelong kind of pro-business, especially small business advocate. I have a lot of experience with economic development when it comes to reinvigorating neighborhoods. I'm one of the architects of the Alfresco program for Santa Monica, and I currently oversee a lot of that. So a lot of the restaurants that you see, well, in the past, out in the street, in other kind of parklet areas, that's me, and I help with that sporadically throughout Los Angeles as well. And I just want to kind of get to know the neighborhood more and play a role in the way things work around here, because I live here now and I don't live in Santa Monica. So I'd kind of like to take what I've learned over there and hopefully bring it here. That's it. That's me. That's the 2 cents version. Is that any questions? Or
Yeah, I was saying, if anybody has any question, and John and Greg, can you watch for the hands? Because I'm actually doing some BAC stuff. So if there's any hands raised.
I'll start it off so I can pay attention to the
Okay.
hand. So what area do you live in, and what in the neighborhood have you seen that interests you to become involved in?
Yeah, I live in Harvard Heights. I live on Hobart, between Venice and Washington. We picked this area because it's honestly, we just loved the house, and it seemed like it's a nice little pocket. My fiance does historic restoration. So we live in a Mills Act house, which is a detractor for some people, but it was actually a huge benefit to her. As far as what I see, I think it needs a little love. I've reported a lot of graffiti in the past few years since I've lived here. I think, I find myself, regularly looking at things like trash and some of the neglect with some of the properties commercially, generally along Washington, and it doesn't seem like there's a concerted effort to sort of clean up some of those areas, and I'd like to see if I could play a hand in that. Does that make sense?
Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to see some more restaurants too. I'm pretty active in restaurant placement when it comes to finding takeovers or new projects with developers. And I think it's an interesting area that I think could attract some interesting tenants.
Any other questions? I'm watching for hands.
I can't raise my hand. I don't know why. This is Dorit. May I ask a question though?
Sure.
Hunter, you said you've seen some issues you don't care for or that bother you, like the graffiti and all. What actions have you taken besides, 311 app? Have you taken to improve the neighborhood or keep things that you like in the neighborhood going? What have you done so far? I know you just got here in 2018, but what have you done so far?
Good question. And I will give you a fair answer that is honest. Not much. I'm pretty active, like I said, on the west side in Santa Monica. I did paint a wall once, and I was I was scolded by one of the law enforcement officers who told me never to do that again because it was dangerous for me. I've spoken to some neighbors about certain things, but I haven't been very active, to be quite honest with you. I don't really have much of an interest in just gossiping with people. I know how politics work, and I know how neighborhood associations work, and so really the first step for me was just to figure out what are the actual legitimate neighborhood groups around here and to get involved, and that's what I'm trying to do here.
Okay. So I don't see any other hands raised. Do you, John or Greg?
I do not. Just want to note
Okay.
that Nancy
So
has-
I'd like us to meet Jasmine next, and then
I do have a question. Sorry about that. I came in late.
okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Hunter, you may have already answered this, but I was just going through the application. You said you were a seasoned small business professional. I guess, can you provide some background on that, on what you've done in the past? Because I think that's something that a number of us on the council are interested in, highlighting the small businesses that do exist in our neighborhood and also bringing in more and provide resources for them, especially right now.
Sure. So where should I start? Lifelong restaurateur. I started managing in the business when I was, in my teens, really, and then I became a operator and lobbyist for the restaurant industry. I work with advocacy groups like the California Restaurant Association, the Independent Hospitality Coalition, and a few others. I have helped write a few ordinances for the city of Santa Monica that relate to small businesses, whether it's interim zoning ordinances that relax permitting or investigate, retool things like conditional use permit applications. I'm active right now with the city of Los Angeles, trying to do the same thing to relax conditional use permit requirements, specifically for restaurants, because that's what I know the most. And that's really as a vehicle to help drive economic development. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm the executive director for a business improvement district in Santa Monica, and part of that is liaising between the businesses and the city of Santa Monica for things like street cleaning, public safety, lighting, events, things like that. I dabble in human resources and employment law. I produced a lot of seminars for small businesses on compliance, mostly in relation to ordinances that I've helped craft. Does that make sense? That's kind of a top level overview. Yeah, and I help. I'm kind of an ombudsman, if you will. That's sort of my role. That's the best way I could describe it. Like what I really do in the real world is I act as an ombudsman for small businesses when they have problems, essentially. And that's mostly restaurants, but also retail and some property owners too.
Okay, you guys, I'm seeing a bunch of hands go up.
Madam President, you
Would
are
it be
7
okay?
minutes, 7 minutes into the time.
Yeah, I
You have
understand.
10 seconds.
I'm saying, would it be okay if we hear from Jasmine, see if anyone has questions for her, and then come back with questions for Hunter? The reason is I mean, again, it's fluid, but we only put 10 minutes
10
on as
minutes.
the total on the agenda item. So if it's okay,
Yes.
Jasmine, can you unmute and video yourself if you can and say hello and do a quick introduction? Okay, we have your picture, but there you go.
Hi, can folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I have to call in, so I was muted on my phone as well. Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine Johnson. I've been in the neighborhood for about 3 years now. I was originally born and raised in the Inland Empire, then I've been working and going to school in LA for about 5 years now. So I wanted to be a part of this because I work for a nonprofit that does policy research and advocacy around environmental justice and health. And I wholeheartedly believe in, building the community from the ground up and really using community voices and community vision to build out the city in a way that that works well for everyone. And so our work is focused primarily in South Central, but we spend a lot of our efforts a little further east, so closer to like the 110 and a little further south. And so I know one of the things that our organization, as well as some of our partners who do a lot of grassroots work and work with residents directly, is that we want to spend more energy expanding to do work across all of South Central. And since I lived there, that was one of the things that I was also interested in. And so I have attended various hearings, like commission hearings and planning hearings in the past, and I really wanted to get involved before it got to that, before like development and projects got to that point in the process. And I really just want to have a greater role in the way that my community is shaped, because I really love the neighborhood I'm in. I'm in the West Adam Avenues area, and I just really want to make sure that the voice of the community is represented in the things that we see happening as we've seen happening over the years, lots of development and changes in the community. And so I have a background in community organizing and local government and politics and communication. So I'd really like to bring that skill set to the board.
Okay. Greg has a question.
I have a question for the president.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have 2 positions and we have
Correct.
two great candidates.
And the executive committee has recommended both of them to the board to
Yes,
fill the
ma'am.
positions.
So yeah, I'm kind of ready to make a motion to receive both of them.
So you are
I don't
making
want to rush
the,
it, but I know we
May
set
I
10 minutes.
hear what you're doing, but are you making the motion on behalf of the executive committee?
I have to.
Yes, you do. Okay.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think we have to do 2 separate motions. Technically.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm not sure, but we don't have anybody here to give me advice.
Well,
We've always done it that way in the past.
Yes, we've done it that way before.
Okay,
let's do it. Okay, so I'm ready to make a motion.
Please
or-
do.
Please, yeah.
Okay, so motion 1 is based on the order that they went in. I make a motion that we appoint Hunter Hall to one of the vacant seats.
Is there a
They're both the
second?
same.
Second.
Hugh seconds. Are there any further comments or questions, or may we go straight to doing the roll?
So there are no hands now, but there were hands earlier, so.
It was Tori and Isaac. Are we good with moving forward?
Yes.
Okay. And Greg, I have the BAC, so should I just go ahead and quickly do it?
Yes, please, because.
Okay.
Yes.
Dorit?
let's be efficient.
Question.
So-
A
Oh,
question.
Chris has got her hand up.
Yes,
There were
Chris.
Is my understanding that there were 2 hands of questions for the last candidate? Are we not going to let her have the courtesy of answering those questions?
We asked and they at least Tori declined. I'm not sure about
Okay.
that.
I wasn't sure it was withdrawn. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks,
Okay.
Chris.
So if everyone can be unmute, we'll do this fast. Dorit,
No.
John,
Yes.
Carlos,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
okay. Myself, yes. Hugo is absent. Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Cordell is absent. Michael is absent. Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
Did not follow instructions, yes.
Janie is absent. Lizzie.
Yes.
Okay, and Paul is absent. I have to write
How many
that down.
yeses?
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, yes, 1 no, and I'm sorry, I did not calculate the absences.
I have the absences.
Okay,
I'm good with that. Okay.
the next motion.
I make a motion that we appoint Jasmine Johnson to the next vacant seat.
I'll
I
second that.
second. Oh.
Oh, Liz seconds it.
Parade of seconds.
Who did?
Lizzie.
Lizzie. Okay. And Dorit,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Carlos,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Laura, yes. Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and Lizzie.
Yes.
Hunter and Jasmine, welcome to the board. Because
Welcome.
the rule now is that you can't even vote. You count now towards quorum, but you can't vote until you've taken the code of conduct training, which is a three-minute, 2-page thing and a certificate. But so you can participate fully tonight. Probably should avoid making motions because I'm not sure how that plays, but you won't be able to vote. You will be on our going forward on these roll calls as ineligible this night, and then we'll get you into the training pool. Greg Jackson will get you into training. Thank
Copy
you
that.
very much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Greg, can we move again? Quick, we're doing this so out of order, but we voted to
Yeah,
the to the monthly expenditure report for not the whole
Sure.
treasurer's report, just the
Can I
MER.
have who made the motion and second that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Of this one? I thought
Yes,
you
for
made the
Jasmine.
motion.
I made the
Pardon?
motion for,
Jasmine?
yeah, I did. You're right.
You made the
Who seconded?
motion and
Who
Lizzie
seconded?
made the second.
Lizzie.
My.
And
my
I have the
apologies.
BAC and it's
Thank you.
15 yeses. I'll count it.
Gotcha. My apologies. Okay.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's move to the MER. Do you need me to post it or do you have
No, I can share screen.
it? Okay.
I need to have.
And
the
then I
ability to
promise
share
everybody
screen.
will go back to normal order and do public comments and go from there.
I cannot share screen.
Okay, I have it up, so I will just hopefully have it up.
Oh.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, there it is.
You can
So-
allow me to share.
I gave you co-hosting.
You took it back because I was taking minutes and then John was
No, you
co-hosting.
still show as a co-host, but here you go.
Okay, thank you.
Either way, just tell me when to move forward or if to move
Can you
forward.
make it larger
Yes.
for me?
How big do you want it?
Bigger than you get.
Bigger than that?
Of course.
Or are we good?
Never mind. I'm good. Okay.
Okay, there we are. It's bigger.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have spent a total of $2,925 as of November. We have a balance of $41,366.06 as of November. We have spent money for our webpage maintenance. We gave 1,500 for the MLK Day. And we spent some money on outreach items through Facebook. Are there any questions concerning the monthly expenditure report for November? You can scroll down a little bit, Laura.
Right, that's a little bit harder. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a general question, Greg. Do we know, like, if how much will we be able to roll over at the end of the fiscal year? Do we know that or no?
Ugh.
Oh, no, of course not.
I think you should assume 0 for
Yeah,
this
we
year.
don't know that. We don't know that.
I honestly, I think next year is when the piper will pay, or whatever the phrase will be. The city is out of money.
Yeah.
So
So we need to go on
our
with the-
intent is to use.
Shopping spree.
Spend.
Well, we're going to do good things for our community, of
Yeah.
course.
We'll be paying
Shopping spree.
attention, because
course.
is that Raheem that's asking? I mean, at the moment, there's ordinance on the books that says it's 10,000 to roll over each year. But but what they give us, they can take away. They just have to pass another ordinance.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Gabby has her hand up.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Yes.
So Gabby?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask about the election outreach. Confirm that we do have money for.
We have
for that. I don't know if-
$1,000 set aside for election
Right.
funds.
So
Got
So
it.
you
Okay,
guys-
thank you.
yeah, we're going to have a full treasurer's report at the end of the meeting. This is just to approve the monthly expenditure report.
Oh, I see.
Item.
Sorry. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we've got, for those who arrived late, we just pushed a couple of things up to the front out of fear we're going to run out of quorum.
I make a
The treasury
motion.
report can be mostly the same thing, but make a motion that we approve the monthly expenditure.
I'd like
report
to
for
make the
November.
motion to approve the monthly expenditure report.
Krista made the motion.
This is
Okay.
Dorit, I'll second
Nancy
it.
seconds, or Doris.
Oh, I beat you this.
All right, who moved? Guys, who moved? Who seconded?
Chris
Chris made
moved,
the
Dorit
motion.
seconded.
And I'm not sure who beat out the second.
Dorit seconded. Greg, are you good with not being the mover or the seconder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. it's
All right,
nice.
Chris moved, Dorit second, to approve the monthly expenditure report for November 2020. Okay, calling this roll, Dorit,
Yes.
John?
Yep.
Carlos? Oh,
Yes.
Greg, are we watching, are we taking care of the training thing? Is Carlos eligible to vote on this one? I think he is.
Carlos is eligible to vote on money, yes.
Okay, Tori,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Laura's a yes, Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
and I know our two new board members are ineligible. Okay. Now let's go back to the real
What's the count?
agenda. I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to post the agenda one more time, just so we have it in mind.
Can you give me the count,
And
please?
then, so, okay. So meeting protocols reminder, probably should have done this before. UNNC does our Zoom meetings in a very participatory Zoom meeting mode. You may have attended other city meetings that are webinars where there's where mostly you're watching the proceedings, but in our case, everyone participates in the proceedings. For most of the time, please be muted so that we don't hear the background noise. When we're going to do a vote on a motion, please unmute so we can quickly go through the voice, the roll call. We do not use the chat for much of anything. The only purpose for the chat should be if no one's noticing that your hand is raised, you can put in the chat, I'm trying to raise my hand and speak. I have a question. We will use the chat to post motions that are complicated to vote on. Most of the motions tonight are already printed onto the agenda, but if we have different motions, we'll post those into the chat. And if you have to leave but plan to come back, I mean, those kind of things, go ahead and chat, but it's not a conversation. And last but not least, one is we are really tight on time. So we're, Greg and I are going to try and say, oh, your time's up, but we also don't want to be rude. So we're going to try to do this as kindly as possible. And also this code of conduct that we all have to take as board members, we also operate the meetings with the same respect for everyone. And we do a code of conduct. Okay. Any questions? Didn't think so. Public comments and announcements. Public comment on any item that is not on the agenda.
Dorit has her hand raised.
Yes.
I just want to explain why I left last month's meeting early, so abruptly. A mama possum and all her babies wound up in the kitchen, and we kind of had to deal with it. So forgive me for leaving early last month.
Awesome.
You're forgiven.
We all have our low. Awesome.
And the question is, Dorit, is the mama and the baby still in the backyard, and are you feeding them
This is
grapes
what takes
and
up
other
time. This is
delicious
what takes up
things?
time. Moving on.
I
moving
know.
on, moving on,
Okay,
moving on.
never mind.
Yes.
Just
moving
never
on.
mind. Are there any other public comments on items not on the
Hang on
agenda?
one second.
Going once, no hands. Going twice, no hands. Going 3 times, I see no hands.
Okay, next item, board member training report and update.
Everybody's up to date.
Cool. So I
go.
will point out for everybody that there's a bunch of us who will stop being up to date by July, meaning all of us who are in Group B took our tests in and around July 1st. So just watch these monthly reports from Dunn so you can make sure that you catch up, because I'm going to expire on all 3 of mine, for example. Okay, item 5, Council District 10 report. I don't think we have anyone here from Council District 10, and reports from other government officials, city departments, and/or agencies. Chris, your hand is up, but you're not a council. Can we wait and see if we have any actual reports? Nancy's hand is up. May Gates' hand's up. I think she is representing someone,
Yes, she is.
an actual government entity. So let's have May talk to us first. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. I hope everyone is safe and healthy in lieu of this ongoing pandemic. For those that do not know me, I am May Gates. I represent Assembly Member Sydney Kamlager. She represents the 54th Assembly District. That includes actually one of the largest and most diverse districts in our state. We've got everything from Inglewood to Jefferson Park, Arlington Heights, Century City, Culver City, South Central, Crenshaw, the whole 9. So we've got a large and diverse district. Thank you all for having me here today. I'll just give a really brief legislative update, being that we are now nearly 6 weeks into our new legislative session. So for those that don't know, we did start a new session back at the beginning of December, and we've already had an interruption due to COVID-19. The legislature will not be reconvening until January 11, just due to the outrageous amount of cases we're having right now. But the Assembly member has already introduced a number of bills that are really touching on some of the most pressing issues that we're seeing in our state, whether that's criminal justice issues, health, enviro, et cetera. A couple of them are Assembly Bill AB 127, and this actually addresses the aftermath of police misconduct. So this is really still in response to the mass protests that we saw throughout 2020, calling on justice, really, as it relates to policing. And so we know that here in California and other states, a lot of district attorneys have a really hard time prosecuting police for multiple reasons. One of those reasons here in California is that currently, in order to get an arrest warrant for a police officer, either an affidavit or the necessary information for that warrant has to come from another peace officer. So what AB 127 is doing is removing that requirement. We know that police officers do not like to implicate each other. So we're removing that requirement so we can move forward with more arrest warrants in that nature. We've also introduced AB 124. This really touches on our domestic violence survivors. We know that a lot of times domestic violence survivors end up incarcerated themselves. And so what this allows is for them to be resentenced with a sentence reduction if they can prove that their offense was related to the domestic violence that they survived. We're also introducing ACA 3. This will amend our California Constitution. Believe it or not, in January of 2021, we still have involuntary servitude on our books. So yes, slavery is still legal in California as a punishment of crime. And so ACA 3 will be amending that and removing that from our Constitution. And then finally, we also have the Crises Act. We ran this last session. We're running it again this session. This will both fund and provide the infrastructure for alternatives to policing. We know that we have a huge housing crisis here in Los Angeles, across our state. We know with housing comes a lot of mental health issues as well. And so this will really give us the infrastructure and to save, to send in our mental health professionals from licensed organizations instead of police officers onto the scene, so we can really just, oops, sorry, my computer just died, but I hope you guys can still hear me,
Yes.
so that we can really address how we are over incarcerating our houseless population. And then just to move on from the bills, to wrap everything up, as you know, obviously the pandemic is still ongoing. There's still a huge need for relief. And so the governor and a couple of other offices actually put down $500 million to our small businesses across the state. We also are looking to extend the eviction moratorium. And so right now it actually expires on January 31st. We know that between now and January 31st, nothing will change about the need for an eviction moratorium, right? And so we are looking to extend that as well. However, the caveat with this extension is that likely eviction moratorium will be extended. However, at least 25% of all past due rent will need to be paid in order for tenants to be protected under this. And so I can also go ahead and take any questions you guys may have while I'm here.
Okay. Greg has his hand up.
Ms. Gates, do you have a website link and or a briefing sheet that you could send to us so that we can include that in our minutes and perhaps even put that on our website?
Right.
Yeah, once I get my computer rebooted, I will drop our website link into the chat for you guys to see it. I do not think all of our new bills have been updated onto our website yet, but of course they're still on the Assembly website, and so I can send links to the bill language as well.
Okay,
Or
so
just
May,
a-
if you'll have to
so-
drop it into my or Greg's to us, and then we'll post it to the everybody
Right.
chat.
Okay.
Or a short brief sheet for just the minutes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
Are there any other questions?
There are no hands raised.
That's
Okay,
good stuff.
cool. All right, so I had seen
Chris-
Nancy and Chris.
Chris Carlson has her hand raised.
Right. But you're muted, Chris.
I'm concerned about that last housing piece, because having 25% of back rent need to be paid doesn't sound like, in the current environment, that's going to save the vast number of people who've lost their jobs, who were already spending more than 30% of their income for the housing they had when they had a job. It seems like a Band-Aid that's not big enough for the wound. I'm just concerned that the scale of that provision doesn't really buy you any more housing protection.
Yes. And so in response to that, that language has not been voted on yet. And so there is a chance that that could change. In the event that that does not change, really where the 25% is coming from is that we obviously know that our tenants are struggling right now, right? Plenty of people are out of work and there's no denying that. However, we also know a lot of our small homeowners and or landlords are also struggling. And so especially for the folks that still owe a mortgage on their homes and they have not gotten rent from folks in the past 6 months, they are also in a bind. And so that is the origin of the 25% caveat. Again, this has not been passed as of yet. That could change. It has been proposed, but that is the reason. And that is kind of the reasoning why they threw in that 25%, really just because we know that we need to extend this in all of these circumstances, but we also have heard a lot of the feedback from the homeowners. The governor is plans to announce his full budget plans tomorrow or early next week. It is projected with those plans to have another round of cash stimulus. And so the hope there is if we can get cash stimulus from the state, that will aid people in hopefully paying any back due rent.
Right.
Thank you.
So I also, because I get a lot of these emails, I think for UNNC, and since we're in the city of LA, that there's so many different, not even overlapping, but it's sort of overlapping things going on. The eviction moratorium statewide covered jurisdictions that don't have more severe restrictions. So both the city and county of LA have more significant restrictions than the state. But what the state does say, it's not actually new. This 25% protection went into effect, I want to say September. And because we had to, those of us who have tenants had to provide a state notice that basically said they're protected from eviction through the end of January. But after that, they're not, but they have to have started paying the 25%, I think, in October. I mean, you know, in other words, it's not actually new language. This is extension. And beyond that, it was not so pertinent for Los Angeles because there's a absolute eviction moratorium here. And there's no 25% requirement in the city of LA at the moment. So anyway, I am hoping many landlords who are small landlords can also in this governor's budget get some relief, because I don't think small landlords, is my personal opinion, but I don't think they care who's paying it, just to have it paid, right? So
President,
anyway.
we are over our 10 minutes on this.
All right.
Topic.
Okay, so Nancy, you also had your hand up before we called on May.
Yes, I was just wondering if there has been an update on who the CD10 rep from the new city council members office will be.
Yes. Dorit, do you want to tell? Should I tell? I can tell. Mary Jones will be our rep, and Dorit attended a meet and greet if she wants to tell us a little more, but it's not really a CD10 report. So up to Dorit as to how much she would like to say.
I think we ought to move on with the meeting, but Nancy, if you want to email me, I'll email you the map she posted on screen, okay?
Okay. Any other hand?
Yeah, Laura, but this is just to remind you to give Greg the count for the budget. The count of hands voted.
Yes.
On the BAC.
I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Greg, it's 15 yeses and 2 ineligibles. And the absences are the absences.
Thank you.
All right.
No other hands.
Okay, then moving on. Next item is committee reports. We have as an item budget advocate report. If you know it's not happening because neither of them are present. So do we have any committee reports? And I hope you guys say, yay, thank you. I put the committee reports up as upfrontish as I could in this agenda. So
And you have
are
10
there any
minutes set
committee,
aside for that.
as far up front as I could, are there any committee reports?
Yay, thank you. It's Raheem. I'll do a really quick report for the Communications Committee. I just want to say thank you to Dorit has sent a bunch of information or a bunch of content for us to post on the website and Facebook. Thank you to Cordell for sending his story, Greg for sending his story, Paula for sending her story early. So up next, we're looking at Gabby. Janie's not here. Paul's not here. And Carlos, your story is going to be due that first week of February. So that's it.
Raheem, I know I've said this over and over, but I'll get you my story eventually.
Right. And Raheem, you know, we also have
Thank
to
you.
start, election committee meets Tuesday, and we're going to have to start posting things for that too, because candidate filing begins 2 Saturdays from now. So, I mean, there's room
Yeah,
for
we
more.
plan to. I'm on the elections committee, so I plan to liaise between the both of them. Do we also want to talk about? We're looking for a graphic designer now. That's up, right?
Yeah, so we officially, thank you, Gabby. We officially sent out or put up our notices, based on what we voted for. I can't remember if it was November, December. The funding we approved for a photographer and a graphic designer. So we put together a little application for both positions. We posted them on our website, posted them on our Facebook page this morning with a little boost. So looking to get some applicants in. Gabby and I will be reviewing the applications and hopefully meeting with all the applicants at our next communications committee meeting on the
It is the
17th,
21st.
21st, there you go. So yeah, if anybody here knows any photographers or graphic designers who would be interested in a paid position with our neighborhood council, the application, all the application information is on our website at unnc.org/photographer, and then also unnc.org/graphic designer. So please share that out to all your networks, and hopefully we'll get some really good applicants that we can meet with.
And it will be in a e-blast soonish. Not today. Dorit. Dorit, is this a
Yes.
question for communications or a report?
Report.
Okay. Are we done with
Uh,
questions? Wait. Are we done with questions for communications? Dorit, go ahead.
I'm co-chair of Rec and Parks. Greg is the chair. We have a meeting on Monday. Please come. We're going to finally, gosh darn it, finally finish our mission and goals statement.
Thank you. You've worked 3 months for that.
Any questions, feel free to ask.
You got it. What the hell are we doing?
Lizzie's hand is up.
Okay. I think we're done with that.
Lizzie's hand was up, correct?
Lizzie's hand looks still up to me. Is Lizzie's your hand still?
Because I know she has a bit of a report.
Lizzie,
What happened to Lizzie?
she's talking.
You're muted.
You have to unmute. Unmute, Lizzie.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, so the elections committee is formed. We will be having our first meeting on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. So if anybody would like to attend, you're welcome to. There are 2 candidate info sessions for those of you who are planning to need to run for these elections. January 16th and the 30th. At 9 a.m. So those are the 2 next sessions, and there will be more coming. And like Laura said, the filing opens on the 21st, and it goes until sometime in March.
Right.
And so for Tuesday, we will be going maybe over budget and marketing issues for this first phase of the elections, that is outreaching for candidates, candidate recruiting. Thank
Right.
you.
So, Lizzie, the candidates information session, which is not our own, but rather Dunn's, is
Yes,
next Saturday, right? Not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after.
16th.
Is that a
The
Saturday even?
16th. There
Yeah.
was one, but it was in conflict with tonight, so.
Got it. So,
there's one running right now.
Thomas Sung did confirm with me that it will be not just in English and Spanish, but also Korean. So I think we've got to figure out a way, and I feel like waiting till Tuesday is really pushing it to the last minute of getting word out in our e-blast in all 3 languages. So, you know, I don't know if they've given us any pre-translated things. Anyway. All right, well, we'll talk about it.
I don't think they have, but the rep is going to send us some information, right, Lizzie? That was my understanding from last night.
Yes. There will be an info packet sent to us, but they haven't done yet with, information on how to create flyers and the different timelines and so forth. There was a lot of information relayed last night. So,
Adriana has her hand up, and let me just clarify before she speaks. What I'm saying is, I think we should send to our 1,070 stakeholder subscribers on our MailChimp a standalone. There's a candidates information session on the 16th, but I think we need to send it in English, the same thing in English, Spanish, and Korean, and just in English say, if you know anyone who speaks these other 2 languages, please pass this on, because I think that session tells people how to be candidates and how to be board members, though I'm not sure. Adriana, I know you have your hand up. You may have the answers.
Yes, thank you, Laura and Liz. Happy New Year to everybody. I apologize for being here a little bit late. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy during these times. I just want to share, there's a lot of resources that we have when it comes to interpretation that are not really used across the NC system. We're actually working on a strategic plan on how to empower councils to start using them, because we do have a special funds with City Clerk for interpretation, about $60,000 for the whole fiscal year. And that includes interpretations for your meetings in English, Spanish, or other languages, but also documents. So if you have any flyers you want to interpret for even your agendas for your council, you can send them to NC support, or you can send it to me and I can connect you with the appropriate person who does the interpretation to see if we can do it. And it's at no cost, as long as we don't exhaust the funds that are available to the 99 neighborhood councils. And you'll be surprised, nobody really uses those funds, but I just want you to know that they are there for you to use. And we're also going to be scheduling a one-on-one election outreach session with the election chairs. We haven't done so because I don't know if you read the Empower LA newsletter, but we have furloughs coming for our department, which I'm going to talk about towards the end when I do my report. But I do want you to know that the toolkit should be coming out at the latest by next week. We're still fine-tuning some resources that, as we are having our regional outreach gatherings, we had one for the South LA region last night. It was really great. We received a lot of feedback. We're creating more based on the feedback we hear, so that we can have a finalized packet based on the needs of that were shared and requested by you all that attended. And if you have other tools that you may need, we're going to be talking about Nextdoor and other fun tools that we're looking at. Please feel free to let me know, and I can see if we can include it in there.
Okay.
1 minute of time remained on this item.
Okay. We're good on this committee. Are there any other committee reports?
No other hands up.
Okay. Moving on.
CIS.
CIS committee. So I'm going to mostly turn this over to Dorit.
That's 20 minutes set aside for this.
I understand. So, so I hope everyone had a chance to read the agenda very carefully, because the actual proposed community impact statements themselves are printed on the agenda, where the council motions have a link. And then we have a background documents in our agenda packet. And again, I apologize. This was totally my error. I put the wrong agenda packet link on this agenda, and that is why I sent you guys a corrected link to the agenda packet and a lot of the documents. So Dorit, I'm gonna basically turn this to you, or do you want me to call out the item and then turn it each one to you? How do you want to do that?
Since I'm reading from another document, just tell, is it, the first one is 20-1603, right?
Correct. So yes, you know, 8A is
Yes.
proposed CIS council file
Yes,
number
16.
20-1603. Take it away.
All right, so this is a new council member, Nithya Raman from Council District 4, submitted this motion at her first meeting, which was December 15th. So Nithya Raman is the maker of the motion. The seconder is Nuria Martinez, who's CD6. The subject of the motion, report from LAHSA and County Homeless Initiative on how Measure H outreach and engagement funds are being spent. So I'm going to read the proposed wording of the CIS. United Neighborhoods of Historic Arlington Heights, West Adams, and Jefferson Park Communities Neighborhood Council, UNNC, supports the shelter and housing availability / homeless crisis / Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, parentheses LAHSA / Measure H outreach program motion. Since the passage of Measure H in 2017, LAHSA, the County of Los Angeles Departments of Health Services and Mental Health, and nonprofit homeless service organizations who received Measure H funds have hired thousands of outreach workers to develop relationships with our unhoused community members. Currently, outreach and engagement is the major way unhoused individuals are able to make contact with a homeless service provider. The UNNC supports the request for a comprehensive report on how Measure H funds are being used and how all city funded homeless services programs are being spent. So if I can give some background information to the board. Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, LAHSA, is a joint powers authority of the county and cities of Los Angeles, formed in 1993. LAHSA is a regional planning agency known as a continuum of care for Los Angeles City, County, and 84 of the other 87 cities in LA County. Long Beach, Pasadena, and Glendale have their own COCs. LAHSA receives, coordinates, and manages about $400 million a year in federal, state, county, and city funds. LAHSA distributes these funds to nonprofit homeless service providers, county agencies, and cities to fight homelessness. Measure H, passed by Los Angeles County voters in 2017, is a 0.25% sales tax increase, revenue to be used for fund programs and services for people experiencing homelessness, including outreach engagements. The County Homeless Initiative was formed to implement and oversee Measure H funds. Currently, outreach engagement is a major way unhoused individuals are able to make contact with the homeless service providers. In the past, homeless service providers would have drop-in centers and access centers. These centers were places where unhoused individuals could have a meal, find a safe place away from the streets, and meet with case management. Drop-in centers are no longer funded by HUD, the federal government, so many providers can no longer have them. They can no longer afford to have them. It is critical that an outreach worker is able to develop a relationship with people on the streets. Regrettably, many of the LAHSA outreach workers have been prevented from building meaningful relationships and developing trust with people experiencing homelessness. Instead, they are taken away from the engagement work and put at sanitation, are forced to accompany sanitation crews during sweeps and work with law enforcement during the homeless sweeps. And with so much hiring of new staff in such a really short period of time, and accurate information of how successful the programs are is not readily available. The city is building shelters and Proposition HHH housing funding, which was passed in 2016. Those housing are going to be coming online really soon. So the city really needs to know how county and city outreach programs are being funded, what is successful, what is not. So this motion will mandate that LAHSA and the Homeless Initiative provide a comprehensive account of where the funds are going. All righty. Any questions?
No.
No.
Being none. Okay.
No, Greg's got his hand up.
Going to make a motion, we approve this CIS.
Second.
Okay, Greg moves to approve. Is there a second?
Lizzie did.
Second,
Okay.
Lizzie.
Lizzie, seconds. Okay, and you all have it printed on your agenda, so we don't need, I'm not posting it into the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Dorit.
Goodness, I forgot
Yes.
to play salt first.
Okay, everybody unmute so we can do this fast, please. John,
Yes.
Carlos,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Laura's a yes, Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yeah.
Isaac,
Yes.
thank you, Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
No.
okay, Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and Lizzie.
Yes.
Hunter is ineligible and Jasmine is ineligible. You guys have to tell me if I call someone's name who's not present because I'm not seeing everything. I didn't skip anybody, correct?
Did we ask for questions?
I did ask for questions.
No, I missed that. Okay. Oh, can I ask a question?
Yeah, let me just do the
Yeah.
tabulation. It's 14 yes, 1 no, 2 ineligible, and the number of absences who are absent. Yes, Tori.
Okay, we're just asking for detailed itemization of Measure H, how they spent the money or how they were supposed to spend the money.
We are asking for a report on how Measure H monies and how were spent. What different outreach programs that's.
Because there's already an itemization of that on the controller's report.
Okay.
No, the controller did HHH. I don't think it did H,
He
but.
did it. Okay.
But
I already
if you-
said yes. I already said yes. That's okay.
But
Okay.
if I want to tell you, the motion itself from Councilmember Rahman is on, is in our package. So you can read
Right.
the motion itself.
Yeah, we're
It's
just,
pretty detailed.
yeah, at the committee, we looked at the motions, we looked at the background, and we looked at the CISs. So, but yes, indeed, we have all of it in our package, which you now have the correct link to. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize one more time. This is it, last time, because everyone makes mistakes. Okay, did you, Greg, did you get the numbers?
I do. I have the numbers.
Okay. Next item, where'd it go? Not that any of you would know where I put it.
Is it-
Okay,
it's-
next item is council-
20-0102.
Yes, Council
Marie.
0102.
All right. Sorry, I'm reading this and not looking at people. So council motion 20-0102, maker of the motion is Mark Ridley Thomas, our new council member from CD10, and Mitch O'Farrell from CD13, second by Nuri Martinez, which is CD6. Bob Bloomingfield, which is CD3, the Comprehensive Crisis Response Strategy. The wording of the CIS. Based on the 2020 countywide homeless count, there are approximately 42,000 unhoused women, men, and children in the city of Los Angeles. 29,000 are living on the streets, in cars, or other locations not meant for human habitation. From January 1, 2020 to November 30, 2020, 1,248 of our unhoused community members have died. This is a 32% increase from 2019. The vast majority of persons experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles do not want to live on the streets, and no humane society would allow its most vulnerable members to languish on the streets. The United Neighborhoods of Historic Arlington Heights, West Adams, and Jefferson Park Community Neighborhood Council believes everyone has the right to a safe, affordable place to call home. UNNC supports a comprehensive crisis response strategy motion. That's the wording. The background. The City Administrator's Office, the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, and the Chief Legislative Analyst, it calls for them to give a verbal report to the Homeless and Poverty Committee in 60 days on how the City of Los Angeles can implement a right to housing framework, which means everyone is entitled to housing or shelter. All they have to do is say, I want shelter, I want housing. An assessment of available funding to implement the right to housing and comprehensive crisis response strategy, how this strategy fits into the current city plan and the funding to end homelessness, and what resources would be needed from the county, state, and federal governments to fund the comprehensive crisis response strategy and the right to housing. All righty, let me go back so I can see people.
Right. Is there any reason why anyone wants to see the actual motion? Not our motion, but the council motion? I don't think so, right? Okay. Are there any questions this time? Tori, this is for you. Do you have any questions this time?
No, I'm gonna wait till I see the budget before I vote on this one. I'm gonna abstain on this.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions? All right. Is there a motion? Dorit, you can make the motions on behalf of the committee.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to pass this CIS.
Second.
I'm sorry, I heard a second, but I didn't hear who it
You
was.
seconded.
Okay.
You seconded.
Thank you. Okay. Any other, nothing. Good. I'm going to call the BAC roll. Please unmute yourselves so we can do it quickly. Dorit.
Yes.
John.
I know what Tori, but I'll say yes.
What?
Yes.
Okay. Carlos.
Yes.
Tori.
No, not right now.
Oh, you're abstaining or no?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Gabby?
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Paula?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Isaac?
Yes.
Marielle?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Chris?
No.
Greg?
Yes.
Nancy?
Abstain.
And Lizzie?
Yes.
And again, Hunter and Jasmine are ineligible. So the numbers this time are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 yes, 1 no, 2 abstain, 2 ineligible, and the absences are the absences. Okay. Next item, and that would be 8C, proposed community impact statement for council file number 21-0002-S20. Dorit.
All right, guys, this is the last time I have to talk. So the maker of the motion is Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas and Council Member Mitch O'Farrell, who is number 13. Second is Nuri Martinez, Council President and Council District 6. Sorry. The proposed wording, okay, so this is support of a California Assembly Bill 71. Which would be $2.4 billion a year to fund services and housing for currently unhoused individuals. So the United Neighborhoods of Historic Arlington Heights, West Adams, and Jefferson Park Communities Neighborhood Council supports City Council Motion 21-0002-S20, supporting the passage of Assembly Bill 71, Rivas Chi, that brings the Bring California Home Fund, which allocates $2.4 billion annually to address homelessness and housing across the state of California. Approximately 152,000 Californians are unhoused. That's based on the 2019 California homeless count. Los Angeles County has approximately 60,000 unhoused men, women, and children. That's the Los Angeles County homeless count from 2020. Everyone agrees the economic downturn caused by COVID-19 pandemic will increase homelessness in our state and city. California has been able to use one-time only funding for successful programs such as Project Room Key, Project Home Key, Home Emergency Assistance Program, and Homeless Housing Assistance Program to successfully address homelessness. Bring California Home will provide ongoing funding for these and other proven strategies. Passing this motion will allow the state, Los Angeles, and other local governments the funding to build housing and to offer services and programs that can lead to successful, affordable, and permanent housing that will allow unhoused Californians to live, thrive, and be productive members of the community. A little bit of background. This motion to support California Assembly Bill 71, the $2.4 billion to fund homeless services and housing. The $2.4 billion will come from an increase in personal income tax on persons making more than $1 million a year, an increase in corporate income tax, and limiting or eliminating corporate tax loopholes. Any questions, folks?
Nancy has her hand.
Just a question on the program Room Key and the various programs you mentioned, Dorit. Do you have any information on how those programs are working out? And I guess my second question, whether this specific bill is asking to further support those specific programs, or they can go ahead and create new different types of programs?
Project Room Key and Project Home Key are working out quite well. They're working much better in the city and the county of Los Angeles. Actually, they're working really, really great in the county of Los Angeles, good in the city of Los Angeles, and frankly, not as well in the rest of the state. The rest of the state really didn't do a great job of getting people into the hotel rooms that they had set aside. Mm-hmm. But the county had 100% occupancy at all times. The city was close to 90%, so not too bad at all. Project Home Key is really doing well in the county, who are able to get their act together and buy some vacant hotels to get people to be in those hotels. The city of LA is having a little bit more harder time to get the hotels because prices are a bit more expensive in the city than they are in certain parts of the county. And yes, they'll be able to, the Assembly Bill motion says you know, these programs plus other proven strategies, other things that have worked in other locations throughout California and throughout the country. If there's like a good strategy that's working wonderfully in, say, Chicago, they can replicate it here. So it's proven strategies, things that have, like are tested and they've been used in the past, and we know that they can work.
Okay.
So I hope that
Chris?
answers your question, Nancy.
What percentage of people who've been into Project Roomkey have successfully then transitioned into more permanent supportive housing?
Not as much as we'd like, because simply there isn't that much permanent supportive housing to transfer people into, but Project Roomkey keeps getting extended. So now it's extended until, it was supposed to end in November. It's now extended until the end of February.
Okay, thanks.
Isaac?
Just a quick question. Are these voluntary cells or are they using them?
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
Are the purchase of or the attempt to buy these hotels, is it voluntary cells or are they using eminent domain?
Is it voluntary?
Regrettably, they did not use eminent domain. It is voluntary. They're only using, for Project Homekey, they're buying smaller hotels. A lot of people, you know, a lot of the smaller hotels that people are willing to sell to them, they're buying those and refitting them, pretty much just putting a little kitchen in all the hotel rooms. For Project Homekey, sorry, that was Project Homekey. Project Roomkey, they only use the really big hotels because it was not economically feasible to have a full staff there if there was less than 100 people, 100 rooms used. But no eminent domain, the state had allowed cities to be able to go in and commandeer hotels and use them. LA County and city chose not to do that. We chose not to commandeer and take over hotels, but a lot of hotels in downtown LA participated. A lot of the big fancy ones were used for homeless housing for many, many months now.
Okay. Tori?
Oh, I was gonna say that we did some feedings today, and a couple of people that I had put into Project Roomkey have different stories. So I just wanted to say, not everybody is kind of noisy over here. Hold on.
Tori, you're on mute.
Yeah, Tori, you muted,
She's waiting for the party to end.
but she's still talking to us.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
I said it was kind of noisy. I was just saying, I talked to a couple people, not all of them have kitchens or refrigerators or anything. And they don't hear me talking, but anyway. So it depends on the individuals, but the Project Roomkey process was working pretty smoothly initially until some of them got taken over by the COVID. So it depends on the situation. And these numbers are not correct according to what we reported in 2019. So we just really need to get on the same page with all these numbers and everything. It's not the reach fault or anybody, but it's just reporting has been haphazard.
Okay, so my hand is up. I'm calling on me. So essentially, this community impact statement is to support the city's council file, whatever the number is, I don't have it in front of me, but where the city is adding this to its own legislative package, where the city itself will then support the state legislation. So we're not directly voting to support the state legislation.
Madam President, we are overtime on this item.
Yes, we are. And Dorit, I just have a question. Do you know, is this legislation moving fast or slow? I mean, might it change, or are we getting close to its adoption? Not the cities, but the states.
I'm sorry, I actually don't have that information. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, well, in any case, folks, we have this proposed community impact statement printed on the agenda, and Dorit also read it out loud. And do we have a motion from?
I make a motion, we approve the CIS as proposed.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
I didn't hear who that was. Hugh.
Yes, you.
Okay. Okey doke. So if everyone can unmute, so we can do this quickly. Dorit,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Carlos.
Yes.
Okay, Gabby,
Yes.
Laura, yes. Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Can abstain.
okay. Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
I will abstain as well.
okay, Lizzie,
Yes, and thank you, Dorit, for your work on this CIS
yes.
and everyone involved, everyone else involved.
Now Dorit, she gets the kudos. Hunter and Jasmine are ineligible. But remember, you guys, you can participate, ask questions. Okay, so the count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 yes, 2 abstain, 2 ineligible, and the motion
Yes,
passes.
Laura, I didn't even say nothing, so abstain for
Oh,
me
so
too.
sorry.
You didn't ask everyone.
I did, Tori. I thought I asked you because I marked you down as a yes. Are you a?
No, you didn't. It's abstain.
Okay. So those numbers are different.
Thank you, Dorito.
Okay, so Greg, the numbers are 11 yes, 3 abstain, 2 ineligible, and Tori, I apologize.
We had a no also, didn't we?
Huh?
A no. Did we have a no?
We did not
We
have
have a
a.
no.
I don't.
There was not a no.
There was
Okay,
not a no.
thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Paula.
Not a no. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
by the way, the next one's like-ish, a CIS only, it's a resolution. So executive committee, number 9A. This would be UNNC comments or community impact statement. We already had done one. On a council file number 20-0600, and that's the old reinvestment of police funds to impacted communities. And so that's one, I'm just going to go through this very quickly. This is one I spotted, and we had a long discussion at executive committee in December. Essentially, when the city council adopted this year's budget, it asked for a report to recommend a structure for the reinvestment of $150 million that was being transferred away from LAPD and to be transferred to impacted communities. Eventually, a structure for this recommendation was adopted by City Council on December 9th that in part stated that $90 million is to be allocated to the preservation of city services, reinvestment in disadvantaged communities and communities of color, reimagining public safety services delivery, and the targeted local hire program. And it also specified that the allocations should be for one-time expenditures rather than any ongoing programs, and that, or ongoing expenditures, and then it divided the share of this total $90 million among the council districts based on their respective share of highest need census tracts, which was based on median income, unemployment, federally defined poverty levels, college education attainment, and so on. So Council District 10's resulting share of the 90 million was 4 million, or is 4,549,792. The allocations were expected to be finalized in early February at City Council, and the way our funds, again, this is out of the total 90 million, the CD10 funds were currently being proposed to be spent as to provide $3 million in gap funding for the Vision Theater for its sound staging and lighting equipment, and 2, the balance of the funds, so $1,549,792. The balance would be going for concrete street reconstruction, Degnan Boulevard from 43rd Street to 43rd Place, which, by the way, is where the Vision Theater is. We at Executive Committee made a recommendation that's right below on your agenda, but in the interim, Mayor Garcetti vetoed the City Council's plans, particularly as it relates to spending for public works projects. And I do have the motion if you need his, not motion, his letter of veto, if you need me to share that. Our UNNC Executive Committee motion that we adopt the following resolution is this. UNNC is opposed to the original allocations as described in Council File 20-0600. UNNC urges that the approximate 1.5 million in these funds that were allocated to District 10 not be spent on street improvements on Degnan, and rather that money be divided up for projects within each CD10 neighborhood council boundary. Further, UNNC would like to see some of these funds allocated to begin the process of re-envisioning the Washington Irving Library and to be allocated to other community-based organizations or projects, noting that we completely understand that it must be these must be one-time expenditures that can be completed by June 1st, 2021. So that is what the executive committee is recommending. I'm not going to convert that to a motion on a BAC quite yet. Nancy had her hand up first, and Isaac has his hand up to follow.
So Laura, just to confirm, these funds can only be used, have to be used, I guess, by the end of June 2021.
Well, June 1st, I think.
June 1st, 2021.
Yeah. And that is
then
because it was current year budget from LAPD. So it had to be current year spending.
And they can't roll over?
Well, they're not our funds. So I mean, in the way they're doing it, it can't roll over. I don't know the impact of the mayor's veto because his objection wasn't that. His objection was spending the money on public works projects rather than on, justice and equity.
And then do we know under this category of, I forget what it's called, personal services, etc. Do we know what other districts are using the money for?
Or were? Most of them were using it for public works. That's why he vetoed the thing. But, in other words, if this was the only, we had our own, we caught that right away, but it was mostly public works throughout the city. And that is why he vetoed it. But he said basically, and I'm now reading, the movement for racial justice challenged us to think past the boundaries of the present day, to reimagine public safety, take bold steps towards healing the wounds of history, and to make strides against bigotry and inequality that led to so much misery and division. I wholeheartedly support the equity formula applied to the proposed spending plan, but beneath that formula, far too many of the proposed expenditures do not meet the demands of the moment or the call for history. So, basically, he just felt that the public works portion of this was not proper. And instead, he wanted to sign on to a spending plan that would ensure and reinforce community engagement, setting aside funding to pursue pilots. He's writing about pilot projects with local organizations or other partners to address issues of racial justice, income inequality, community safety, equity, reconciliation, protect the jobs for vulnerable city employees faced with layoffs, taking strong action to restore peace in neighborhoods, and then also piloting new, more immediately actionable ideas to reimagine policing. So that's what he wrote. I'm not sure projects to reimagine policing can be broken into these small little neighborhood chunks, but remember, of the 150, 60 million was for other things. So 90 million is what was going into the communities. So it's just interesting that we grabbed onto the same idea that it shouldn't be public works. Okay, Nancy, hand is down. Isaac.
And just real quick, could the word historic be added to the Washington Irving Library portion of the?
Yes. I think we can make a one-word edit if we pass this at all.
That was it.
Okay. I mean, I'd be okay with that. Are there other comments? Correction?
I just have a question. It's Raheem.
Sure.
So whatever we're going to call the work to the Washington Irving Library, I'm just curious how
it relates.
That wouldn't be considered a public works.
Right.
Like especially if we're leaving it like super broad about restoring. Like I don't understand how that's any better than fixing a road. You know?
Yeah. So I'll just. We had a long discussion about this. The library has been abandoned. It's not the library on Washington. And this is we should be clear. Library at 1803 South Arlington that's empty and has promised to become a community center. So what we thought is some funds just to clean up the outside once again, and then whatever seed money to do a very quick evaluation, analysis, and proposal of what could this building become? What's wrong with it? How much is it going to cost to repair it? Because does it need earthquake? Does it need asbestos removal? You know, what does it need? And that kind of assessment. So we're talking, an evaluation assessment. And because it's a historic building, it's a designated National Register landmark, and I think a city landmark. It's not like they can just gut it. So that's what we thought, because that could be completed by June 1, not it becoming a community center by June 1. So that was, there's been a lot of discussion here at UNNC for some years, and I mean some more than a decade on and off, as to why is this building still sitting there? It's our building, meaning not our UNNC building, but the community building.
And I'll just say, I think that's all great. I think that if we're gonna I think kind of like tying us to a re-envisioning of the Washington Irving Library without being specific to what that re-envisioning is a little bit irresponsible. Right. Like I would be more comfortable leaving that out. If we want to, I say we leave it broad. The line about community-based organization projects, I think that kind of gives us some leeway. Whereas the Washington Irving Library, I don't know if we should be spending money just to investigate whether a building can be possibly used for a community center at some point in the future.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
Got it. Nancy, is your hand back up or still up? I can't tell.
Yes, it is back up.
Thank you.
I'm also concerned with the 3 million that's being allocated to Vision Theater. I'm not, I guess, is that a public building? Is it being managed by a nonprofit? Like, just more, I don't have the background.
Well, and we're being recorded. So there was a practical decision made at executive committee that if we attempted to touch that money, it would not go over well politically. It's a really important beacon in the Leimert Park community. Our new council member can walk from his house to it. It's also right on the edge of Council District 8. And so this is the heart of Leimert Park. So we just thought, it just politically made more sense to take a look at the 1.5 million. I can't say a lot more. So others could raise their hand and discuss, but that was our practical sort of advice. Tori?
I was just gonna say, usually it's ran by the city Department of Cultural Affairs.
Correct. Ethan, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi, Laura. I was a privy and high board members. I attended the meeting, the executive committee meeting, Nancy. And just to give some background, the Vision Theater is in Leimert Park. It is owned by the city of Los Angeles. It has been closed for probably over a decade. Monies were allocated to the Department of Cultural Affairs to restore the building. It's been going through a restoration for over a year. And it's my understanding that these bridge monies are to bring the building to completion.
Right.
It is a landmark in the Leimert Park area. It is a landmark and has been a focus of another neighborhood council. So it was our agreement during the executive committee to try to take away funds from a major project in another neighborhood council in a very active part of Los Angeles and South Los Angeles. We'll probably get more bang for our buck as the mayor supported taking away the Bureau of Street Services projects versus trying to take away from a cultural landmark in South LA.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so and I heard loud and clear what Raheem said, but I also know that Isaac trying to do something with that library is very close to your heart. But are you okay, wherever Isaac is, with us making this just more general? Doesn't stop us from trying to, if we get some funds, it doesn't stop us from trying to use some of them for the library. What you need to, where is, okay, Isaac.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's just, it's been abandoned. This year makes it 30 years.
Yes, it does.
It was promised there was going to be a community center 30 years ago. It's gone through multiple city council members. Nobody's done anything.
Oh, no, and it's so much worse than what you're saying. So maybe we need to make this a bigger project. Anyway, Dorit. And then Ethan, your hand is still up. I don't know if you meant to keep your hand up.
I'm first off, Ethan, thank you for the explanation of what the Vision Theater in like nice conciseness. Thank you so much. I'm opposed to us taking out the historic Washington Irving Library in the wording of this motion. I believe we should keep it in, but since Isaac already agreed to take it out, maybe
maybe we can just,
but I would really like us to keep it in. Maybe we could vote if we should take it out or not, and then vote on the motion itself, since we are making a major change to the motion.
We are
would
14
be
minutes
the
into this
proper
item.
Robert's rules of, I took 7 hours of training in Robert's rules for virtual governance, and I never did follow them. But you're right. You do a motion to do a motion, I think, to change the motion.
You have to make a motion to change something that you'd have to vote to change something that drastic.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of Robert's Rules of Order. I'm no expert.
Right. So would you have to do a motion to change the motion if it was, for example, a process, to begin?
I know we have a we have a neighborhood council member.
Right. If it changes the context, you do.
Okay, Adriana, I think we're calling on you.
Yeah.
If you're still here.
She's here.
Close. Is she here? Yes, she is. Adriana, are you here? She may have gone. We're all at home. Okay.
If we have the motion from the executive board.
Correct.
If we want to modify that, then we need to say we want to modify. Well, we need to do a modification to that motion.
Right. So it's a motion to modify the motion, I think.
Yes.
But now where are we at?
Well,
Adriana has a hand up.
Go ahead. Oh, yes.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I raised my hand. I wasn't able to unmute myself. I'm having technical difficulties earlier. So are you asking a question for the motion was made, right? And you're trying to amend it?
Well, the way we do, I'll explain, Adriana, when we have executive committee motions or planning and zoning committee motions, and especially if we've printed them on our agendas, that's the motion, even though it's not been technically made yet and seconded, but that's the mover is a member of the executive committee. That's just our practice. And so what's being suggested is that the motion printed on our agenda should be changed a little or a lot before we actually have it as a motion to vote on. And so we do things not quite with Robert's rules already, apparently.
Yeah, it's up to the discretion of the board in this situation. So, you know, most neighborhood councils don't put their motions on their agendas, to be honest with you.
Right,
So
exactly.
if that's something that you want to practice in honoring your council, you have the freedom to do so. But
Okay.
you have the flexibility to do
That's
both.
what I think so too. I think we could just kind of edit before
Well,
we.
let me.
Raheem, you have your hand up, and Greg
Yeah,
has.
let me just jump in because I mean I can be flexible on this. I mean I understand what has been promised, I guess, about the Washington Irving Library, but I mean I think in initially hearing about this, like I don't, for me, you know, like the idea of checking whether a building is sound or whatever doesn't kind of fall under these ideas of equity and racial
Right.
justice. If the, you know, if this is how we get on the path to making this a community center, I definitely see how it falls under that. So I mean, I don't know, like, and if this is, I know this is something that Isaac is super passionate about and has been like very involved in, and so I don't know. I guess if this is something that we're willing to like keep our eyes on and really kind of see through, and this is like our first step in that process, then I can kind of remove my objection to having it in the motion.
My thought has just been, I go through all kinds of towns with the city of LA trying to get any information or traction on that library, and nothing.
Yeah.
So this is a way to start the conversation.
Yeah.
Again, and
All right, I'm for it, man. I'll review my objection having it in the motion.
Hi.
19 minutes.
Okay, this is Tori. I have a statement. Basically, this library would have to be retrofitted, and 1.5 million, I don't think it would be done by June 1st. So then you have a project that's not completed, because it does say here, it's a one-time expenditure that can be completed by June 1st.
Right.
So we have to take in consideration what all needs to be done, and otherwise it'll be sitting there incomplete, and we've spent all that money.
Tori,
So-
I think what our idea is a, because remember, of the 1.5 million, our real suggestion is divide that among the neighborhood councils. So we're not even getting 1.5 million here. If they even listen to us, you know, I think if we got 100,000, I'd be joyous, right? So we were thinking some of that money could go to mowing the lawn and getting rid of the weeds, and and then other money would go to whoever that consultant might be who could hurry up and come up with, you know, a evaluation and proposal. So that might be $20,000 or $15,000. It's not well stated here, I get that, but but we're moving fast.
Like, what does it take to open it?
I couldn't hear you.
So yeah, the money wouldn't be to open it or make it run already. It would be, what does it take to get it up and running? Or
What could it become, and what would it take to get it there? Because one of the reasons it couldn't become a community center over all these years, life has changed, was because it only has one parking space. So there was constant objection to any proposed community project-based use, operations use, because it was thought that they would have no audience, no one could park anywhere. Now we think people will take buses and bicycles. So, you know, I mean, some of it has changed just for that, but it's still, this is what needs to be addressed. I mean, I don't know that we need to go on and on and on, because I'm not sure we're going to get any money. So yes.
Can we just make the motion?
Yes, I'm actually trying to post it with a few corrections and see if this will work for everybody. I mean, just adding the corrections being that it's the historic building and that what's the address, so that there's no confusion that it's the other Washington Irving Library. But otherwise, this is what was on the agenda. So did I hit post yet? I don't think so. There it is. So that would be the motion. So again, it's more or less we're back to more or less what's on the agenda, but adding the word historic Washington Irving Library located at 1803 Arlington. If anyone, I mean, I can make the motion. So I'm gonna
Make the motion. This is Dorit.
Wait, Dorit makes the motion?
I'll make the motion.
And I second.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Not hearing none. Please unmute. I'm going to call the roll, and I'm going to try and be more careful. Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yeah, sure.
Carlos?
Yes.
Tori?
No.
Okay. Gabby?
Yes.
Laura is a yes. Are we all losing our voices? I'm certainly losing mine for some reason. Paula?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Isaac?
Yes.
Marielle?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Okay, and Hunter, ineligible. Jasmine, ineligible. Did I forget anybody? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yes. 1 no, 2 ineligible. And that's that. So next item is a funding request from the Friends of Fire Station 34, Friends of FS 34, to request funds to purchase community materials for outreach to the Jefferson Park and West Adams area community. Well, it's on the agenda. Due to the pandemic, the annual Fire Service Day was canceled for last year and will be canceled for May of this year. But there is an opportunity to create continued community engagement without this annual event. Funds requested $3,000. The executive committee motion was to recommend that we approve a neighborhood purpose grant for $3,000 for the Friends of FS34. And Ethan, that would be you. And
Hey, Laura.
And I probably need to post the funding request, or do I need to bother? That's a Greg and Ethan question.
No, you don't need to bother.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Greg, and thank you to board members. To introduce myself, my name is Ethan Polk, former UNNC board member, former UNNC signatory, and UNNC treasurer. Greetings and salutations. The Friends of Fire Station is located in Jefferson Park on 7th Avenue, have approached the United Neighborhood Council with a neighborhood purpose grant in the amount of $3,000 to request outreach materials for the firefighters to give out to children in the neighborhoods of Jefferson Park, West Adams, and the surrounding areas. Yearly for the past decade plus, Fire Station 34 has held Fire Service Day annually on the second Saturday of May. May 2020, we were not able to do Fire Service Day due to the pandemic. And as of now, Fire Service Day has been postponed for 2021. However, children still need to learn about fire safety, earthquake preparedness, and the such, and things of the such. Typically at Fire Service Day, outreach materials are given out, coloring books to be specific, to children that do talk about fire safety, earthquake preparedness, careers in fire, and things of the such. So this is to purchase materials for the community, so our children that are just seeing firefighters in mask right now, to be able to get materials that can help them with their education, and help support outreach efforts to Jefferson Park and West Adams. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Greg, and thank you to the rest of the board members.
Okay. Are there, Greg?
I think I should share with the board the budget status of where we would move the money from if we approve this.
Do we have the money?
We definitely have the money. I just want them to know how we would shift it, or where I propose how we shift it around.
Okay, so I know you're gonna say, wait a minute, I let everybody talk forever on all these other items. If we have the money and we vote yes, can you show us how it'll happen when we get to the treasurer's report? Or do we need to do it now?
No, I can do that.
Okay.
But I can do that, but I think people would like to know
All
as
right,
we do
well,
it.
then why don't you share? Because I've put you
Okay, I
back
can
into
just tell
host
them. I can
mode.
just tell them it's that.
Yeah, I put you back in
we-
host mode.
Well, I'm just telling them. I'm just gonna
Okay.
be verbal. Verbal is quick.
Okie doke.
We still have 1,000. We put 3,000 in the neighborhood purpose grant. We used half of that for the Martin Luther King. So half of this request would come from the neighborhood purpose grant. And then we had several other events scheduled throughout the year that will not happen due to COVID. We already put $500 for the fire station. We will probably not have the National Night Out, and we probably won't have the movie night out. And we probably will not have the West Adams Jazz Festival. So we have many events such as that. So the funds will come from those type events, but the board needs to be assured that we have the funds to support this. That's just all I want to share quickly for the board members.
Okay. Chris? Oop. You're muted. Wait, Chris, you're muted.
Got it. Okay. I wanted to ask if we are the sole source of support for this, or have they got matching, or is this seed money to get additional monies? What is their total budget? And what is the range of grade appropriate, since this is supposed to be fire safety, education, earthquake preparation? He mentioned coloring books, but are we doing things at staggered age groups so it really raises fire safety and earthquake preparedness for our community?
Ethan, you're
Hello,
up.
Chris, and thank you. Yeah, hello, Chris, and thank you for your questions. This will be focused for the first round for elementary age students. When I was in elementary school in that area where Fire Station 34 is at, younger kids get excited by seeing firefighters and getting materials. So the first round will be focused in on elementary school age children. That's why I said coloring books and things of the sort. UNNC is going to be the sole funder for this opportunity, and the total budget is $3,000.
Okay. I know this is an unusual year because a lot of the normal activities aren't able to happen. And I know we've supported this event in the past when it's had a more fleshed out form. And I know we have a lot of money that we aren't able to spend or easily spend this year, but I would like us, in order to going forward in future years, as we fund things, to really ask organizations to to not, to try to leverage our money to have greater impact by organizations to do a little more groundwork, to bring in additional monies to tap more than just UNNC, because that leverages the limited monies that UNNC has to a greater benefit throughout. So I'm happy to fund this in this particular round, but going forward, I'd love to see when because a lot of times when people come for grants, part of it is they present where other funding's coming from. And I have no problem in this cycle under these circumstances, but I do think given our budget constraints, we should always be trying to leverage our impacts by bringing more and more people to the party, particularly from the funding side. That's all.
And just a follow up to that, Laura, just for all the board members to know, if you look at the UNNC map, this fire station covers about 75% of the UNNC map. So I understand seeking other forms of funding, and I will do that in the future, but it was really to tap our children in our community that if something were to happen at their house, Fire Station 34 would be the ones that arrive.
Right. I should also point out that we did discuss if there was any possibility of not stepping on the toes of Fire Station, is it 26 down the street from you, Chris, but getting some of these coloring books and other materials into the hands of kids in the northeast portion of our area that's covered by a different fire station. So, but we're working, this is a first the money, then the how do you do it?
Are the coloring books already something that's been developed within the fire department, or is it an external source? Or
absolutely, it's a third-party source that sells materials for fire safety, police safety. It's the company that we have typically used for fire service days to purchase items for giveaway. So basically, the same items we would have given away in the past, we're going to purchase to give away. Again, now it's just the firefighters giving it away to kids in the community.
But the fire department itself has reviewed these and they approve.
Right.
And think
they are fire approved. Yes, correct.
Right. Right. So we had this longer discussion, but it just seems like, the right thing to do. I mean, particularly since we've had very recently, and it wasn't a little kid, but we very recently had a terrible fire where somebody died in a house. And the somebody happened to be a very elderly lady, not a small child, but it was somebody who was confused about what do you do if there's a fire. And what she ended up doing is sitting down in the bedroom and waiting for the fire department to get there.
Right.
So,
and Laura, thank you for bringing that up. During that fire, a firefighter from Fire Station 34 had to be rushed to the hospital.
Right.
So again, Fire Station 34 was first on the scene for that fire.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
I'd like to make the motion that
I'll second.
It's fine.
Nancy was asking a question.
Dory, you can ask your question.
It was Nancy who had her hand up. I'm just pointing it out.
Oh, I didn't see. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No,
where's my co-host watching for hands? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was just gonna move to make the motion, and maybe I also wanted to ask Ethan how we could get involved with the Friends of the Fire Department, because I wasn't aware of that group.
Absolutely. Hi, Nancy. Feel free to send me an email. I can put it in the chat, and I look forward to speaking to you.
Right, because hey, maybe Ethan, because Nancy's desperate to have a co-chair of the Jefferson Park Community Public Safety Committee, but she's soldiering on and still running it, but she may need a speaker. I mean, that might be a good topic for her meeting.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
And before we call the roll, Laura, I just wanted to add that we did talk with Ethan about partnering up for some sort of outreach on social media. So that will happen.
Right. I'm sorry, I missed who was the second.
Tori.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Chris, your hand's still up. Are you okay? Okay, cool. All right. I'm calling. Raheem has his hand up.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
No
Hey,
problem.
Ethan. It's Raheem. Really quick question. So the plan is to just have these items distributed like door to door?
No, just to have them at the fire station and to be distributed in the community. It'll be some in other areas. What they do, they keep these type of materials for the first rollout for phase one to keep the materials on the fire truck. So when they go to the supermarket every day, when they're at Subway, they can actively have these things to pass out in phase one. And then it will be discussed for phase two, closer to Fire Service Day, second weekend of May, if we could have either come and pick up a book or have the firefighters outside for a period of time to distribute.
Got it. And so the dates of phase one are like, what's your like anticipated start date for phase one?
Well, it depends on if you guys approve the
Right, and how fast you get a check, right?
And I'm only asking because it would be cool if we have enough time for us to produce some sort of little like just like a one sheet flyer that we can stick inside the coloring books, like, you know, paid for in part by UNNC with our information. That's the only reason why I'm asking about distribution and timing, because that's something we can probably throw together pretty quickly if the firemen and women were willing to like slip that in the coloring books as they distribute.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that was something that was discussed, and I'm sorry, Raheem, that was something that was discussed at executive board. A couple of the board members brought that up. So yeah, so we have time. It's not something that trying to get done in a week. If the funds are approved and then depending on the shipping, then we can work on that.
Yeah, because I think what we really talked about was stickers. So that it
Yeah, we
doesn't
talked
fall
about
out of the
that, but-
coloring book.
Ethan, can you drop your email into the chat and like I can connect you with Raheem as well so we can
Would.
discuss after this passes. Yeah.
Absolutely, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
On the question.
Right. So the motion is to approve a neighborhood purpose grant, NPG, for $3,000 for the Friends of FS 34, which is Fire Station 34. Dorit,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Carlos,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
Laura's a yes, Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
and Hunter and Jasmine ineligible. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 yeses, 2 ineligibles. All right. Next.
Great, thank you,
item on the-
UNNC.
Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you, Ethan.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is, well, we're moving on to Planning and Zoning Committee. John, this one is for you, number 10A, but I have the share screen stuff if you don't. Case number DIR 2020-7020-SPPA. Do we know what SPPA is, John? Is that another way of saying exception?
SP, specific plan adjustment.
Oh, project adjustment. Okay, there you go. Probably that's what it is. 1619 South Van Ness and 1623 South Van Ness. As you can see on the agenda, this involves the rehabilitation of 2 period character homes, 1 on each parcel. There's 2 parcels, and the construction of 2 new duplexes, 1 per parcel behind each house, resulting in a total of 6 units, 3 units per parcel. These houses are located within the Angeles Vista Character Residential Overlay District Zone sub-area of the Los Angeles CPIO, which includes historic preservation and design components. Okay, John, I've got, what I have is the design.
I have mine.
Yes, and I also have the findings. So you want to post the design and then I'll post the proposed findings?
Post or show?
Show.
Oh,
I mean, screen share. Screen share, so sorry.
Okay, can everyone see this photograph. So this project has about a year long, it's about a 9-month history in our NC. And when this developer bought these 2 parcels without making any error, they went forward to demolish the 2 buildings and redevelop them with the 8 units. When they went to pull their permits, there were a demo permit, there was an objection. And what had happened was that these 2 buildings are obviously character contributors, but they were left off the survey, probably to some fault of the planning department or Survey LA. Something happened, but they got left off. So obviously this is something that's not consistent with either our ethic or our ethos in the neighborhood or the CPIO. However, there was very few mechanisms to, I don't want to say stop the developer, there were a few mechanisms to thwart this. What happened was CD10 back in March or April filed a motion to designate them as historic cultural monuments, which has not been resolved to date. In an effort to save any project, the developer back in April started working to have a different development plan, which included preserving the houses, reducing the density by 2 units on the 2 lots. So instead of having 8 units on 2 lots, there are now 6 units on 2 lots. And 2 of those units are in the 2 old houses, and each house has 2 units behind. At Planning and Zoning Committee in August, we, to help the developer expedite or to get this moving through the city, because they were losing time, and time is money, and they're fully behind this concept. We approved of it in concept, so the CD10 would have the ability to get behind the project as well. What happened when they started going through planning was that there was in the CPIO, so this is the 2 houses with the new development showing. You see that little thing popping up behind the back over here and over here. Those are the 2 new duplexes, and the developer has committed to rehabilitating the houses into 2 units. Let me.
There's a page 2 on this, isn't there?
Yeah. So what, can you all see this plan? So what there is.
It's still kind of frozen on the picture of the houses, at least on my screen.
Okay.
See, it's not moving to a page than other pages.
How about now?
Yes.
Can you see the plans? So I know it's the plan is Van Ness's here, for those of you who can easily read architectural plans. The 2 houses are these dark areas, and the 2 duplexes are behind the 2 buildings. What happened when they got to planning was that there is an odd rule in the CPIO, and this project falls in the cracks. It's really hard to define, that says you can't have more than 80 feet of your side yard taken up with buildings. This project, the one at the south, has 92 feet on the side yard. The one at the north has 96 feet. The planning department can make a 20% exemption adjustment by right, so not opening up any case or not opening up any public review. And that's what this owner has had to do, is seek an adjustment for that 80-foot rule, to have a 12-foot on one lot and a 16-foot adjustment on the other lot. And so what we're asking for today is for the governing board to support the planning and zoning's motion from August to support this in concept. And also, if it comes up, if it needs support, that we support the adjustment for the length of building to be increased from 20% increase over the 80 feet,
right.
A maximum 20%.
Right, and if you could drop the share, John, so that I can share the other document.
So in summary, it's a win-win. The developer's been great about adjusting their plans. It's consistent with what we want. It's preservation forward, and it adds density to the neighborhood. It is a by right project, so there is no density bonus involved. It is a market rate project.
Right. So these adjustment findings even though it says United Neighborhoods, they're not anything we wrote. This is within the city planning department's own files, adjustment findings. And it's essentially it's that the project has special circumstances. We prefer to keep the houses. They contribute to the character of the neighborhood, which that's why we have a character residential overlay. And otherwise the project substantially complies with everything else. So these are the technical findings. And
So,
I don't know.
It's not clear that the owner needs this right now, but it's, we want to get this on file because.
Yeah, no, John, they do need this clearance. That's why we have a case number.
Okay.
That they filed that they were given a case number. So that is why we're acting. I don't know the time frame, but there's no public hearing, but they need approval by the planning department. It's deemed an entitlement.
Correct. So this letter will help them get that approval.
Exactly.
And move the project along. And they've been delayed for almost a year now.
Right. Is there any reason why I need to keep this up on the screen?
I don't think so.
I'm stopping. All right. So
any
are there
questions? I've been deep in this project for a year, trying to save these houses and without actually stopping some added density to the neighborhood.
Right. Well, here's the other thing, and Dorit, I see your hand, but between this project and another one we've been working on and viewing at planning and zoning, a similar situation on St. Andrew's Place, where a developer's keeping the historical house and building behind it. Between the two of them, they will become the models, hopefully, for other projects where we retain the character of the neighborhood, but add the housing density to whether it's market rate or affordable, because the two different projects are one of each. But I think these provide models for going forward, and that's what we're trying to. The committee would like to do. Dorit?
The two houses, are they currently vacant, or are there tenants that'll have to be modified and relocated? And the second part of my question, are they committed to doing any of the units some kind of affordable rate? Thank you.
The houses are decidedly vacant. They were actually starting to tear them down, and there's chunks taken out of them, but they're repairable. So they're vacant. I think they've been vacant for a while. And no, the owner is not planning. It is a rental property, and it's 6 units, and it will be market rate.
They bought two single family owner occupied homes, so there was nobody moved out either. The sellers moved out in each case. So this one's the market rate model, and then we'll may need to bring again a similar situation, but it's all affordable forward. But it's a similar situation within this Angeles Vista character residential overlay zone, where trying to retain the front character but build the housing. So the Planning and Zoning Committee's actual motion was to recommend approval of the project concept. Since this little glitch came up, I would like to make a motion that UNNC votes to approve the project concept and support the required exception to the specific plan CPIO.
Actually, an adjustment, not an exception.
The adjustment to the CPIO, they're calling it specific plan.
Just want you to know, Laura, I got you on a technicality.
You got me on a
second.
technicality. You did. Okay, who was the second?
Paula.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay, I am calling the BAC roll. Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Carlos?
Yes.
Tori? Is Tori still here?
I don't see her.
No,
Oh, yeah, I see her. Yeah.
I don't hear her. I'm moving on. Gabby is now absent. Greg, for your records. Laura's a yes. Paula,
Yes.
Raheem.
Sure.
Okay, Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Greg. Did we lose Greg?
Looks like it. Oh, no, he's right there.
He's semi here, but no video, no sound. I'm gonna move on. Nancy,
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Okay, Tori, you're back. I didn't get a vote from you.
Right, yes.
Okay. All right, so, and I've got Jasmine, Hunter, ineligible, if they're still here. Is anybody watching the room here? Because I'm not sure how we're doing.
I'm still here.
Thank you. Jasmine's appears to be still here. So I'm going to, for reasons why I don't know where he is, I'm marking Greg absent for this vote.
And Raheem.
No, Raheem answered quietly. So what I have is,
Okay.
yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yes, 2 ineligible, and just for the record, we have 2 more board members not present, at least for this vote, and one is Greg, and then Gabby has left. So I'm going to just say that. Greg was taking minutes. I know we're recording this, and I think he might be having a technical difficulty because he's showing us still here.
So Laura,
yes.
for the sake of differentiation, since Greg is actually still present on the screen, that should be the not present and Gabby absent?
Yes. Got it. Thank you. But there's other absences. I haven't been yelling them out loud. That's why I'm making so differentiating from the differentiation. Okay. Next item.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Next item is there's a proposed demolition. We received a building and safety notice at 2115 4th Avenue in Arlington Heights, within the Arlington Heights Character Residential Overlay Zone or District or CPIO. And it's the garage, but it's visible and from 1914. And I think the easiest thing, because this is what we didn't have yesterday, but I have it now, is to post photo. I don't know. Can you see that? This is the house. It is a contributor to the Arlington Heights Character Residential Overlay Zone. So by the way, these are not HPOZs, but they are called HPOZ Light and they include historic preservation. And that's the garage. So what's important is that it's just kind of like the house, but it is not the house. It's here in the way background. And initially, basically they've created another address. So although the agenda says that, well, the agenda is correct. The clearance sheet does not have a CPIO zoning clearance requirement showing. But I also had thought there wasn't yet an application to build, but they created a second address, which I've now found. So what's the reason for the proposed demolition is that the owner wants to build in the rear of this property. I do not understand, because we have no package from the planning department, why whatever they're building in the rear, it's a 10,000 square foot lot, cannot be behind the house and a little more to the south. So I don't know why the garage is being proposed for leaving. The main reason I pushed this onto the agenda without having all the information is under the citywide ordinance for demolition, there's a 30-day objection period. And if UNNC wants to at least initially object, we need to register that now, and it could be withdrawn, but we can't wait because this was filed in December. So that's Planning and Zoning Committee did not end up making a recommendation last night. Didn't vote yes, didn't vote no. So John, do you have thoughts?
Last night, my thought was there's such a lack of information. And that we're dealing, and my feeling is that we're dealing with people's property rights and what they want to do. And I don't know, and though I do have empathy or sympathy for this garage, I'm looking at it on Google right now as well. It's a simple garage. The roof lines match the house, so they're built in the style of, as I think Laura pointed out, they did last night. So
yeah,
it's a lack of information and a lack of importance for this garage, and I never want to hang up anyone's project especially without a lack of information. It's not, and so I don't know what to do with this. Oh, there's the.
Right. Well, my concern is that this Office of Historic Resources turned down someone just a block away who wanted to demolish their garage and said, no, it's a character element of the overlay zone. And they did this, and the office did the same thing a couple blocks from here. So I'm not sure what makes this one, well, I'm going to say special or maybe not special, if I'm saying that right.
Can we object to it in the, I mean, how can we object to it with an asterisk, not saying we're against tearing down a garage, but more information is needed to.
Well, it's a question, not an answer. I mean, we object until we have the answer. Why does it need to be torn down to accommodate the project? Or is this separate from the project and the guy just doesn't like it? I mean, I don't know.
I'm concerned about the fact you mentioned they've applied. Are they planning to split the lot? Is that why they've applied for a second address? And
probably not. Probably not. I think to build something these days, you have to apply for a second address. It's just usually not separated when you look at building and safety activity reports. It's usually all still on the same place. I eventually found it. So, okay, I'm going to take down the picture. So again, I don't want to spend too much of our time on this. I can tell you that the neighbors kind of despise the entire situation. When the house went on the market, they like 6 or 8 of them descended on an open house with all the information about the overlay zone and gave it to the realtor, who was telling potential buyers they could develop the property, period. And so this has been kind of a 2-year thorn in the side of those neighbors, but that doesn't mean they'd be opposed to building more housing. In fact, the next door neighbor to the south has built 2 units in his backyard. So, you know, this is a pattern we're in general encouraging per the last item we had. So just tell me what you guys want to do, because somebody else could write the objection. It doesn't have to be UNNC. It's just
I kind of want to call the vote right now if no one else has questions, because it's already 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but we don't have a motion to call. So
no one's making a motion, we can
that's
move on.
right. I mean, I'm not going to make a motion if nobody's in support. So let's move on then. Okay, moving on. That's a simple answer, because I was wondering if anyone else had a motion. All right. This next item, Council File 20-1477, proposed structural demolition policy. The whole darn thing is printed on your agenda. This is a this, if we pass it, would be a resolution. So you'll see it starts on page 6, goes to page 7. It's a full page, but just by way of background, for reasons that are beyond unclear to not just me, but to several dozen people who wrote comments to the file and or showed up virtually to a public hearing. There was nobody in support from the public of this motion. The motion is to come up, to instruct the city planning department and building and safety to come up with recommendations on a demolition policy that would allow developers who have started an entitlement process to go ahead and be granted demolition permits for properties that have become public nuisances. The major objections are that, one, they shouldn't let them become public nuisances. That you buy something and until you know and have your building permits to proceed on a project, keep the lights on, keep the water flowing, put a caretaker in if you don't have tenants, don't let them become a public nuisance. I mean, it's kind of a simple, you, dear property owner, are responsible for your own property. But also it's entirely possible, maybe not common these days, but you never know, the things, how you could turn again, that you apply for an entitlement project and are not approved. And if you've demolished the property, but you don't have a project, then we really have a nuisance on our hands and blight and a reduction in taxpayer revenue. So, and I'm now not alone in writing this. So we wrote a bunch of bullet points. This went to Planning and Zoning Committee. You read all the reasons, the what fors and wherefores, and the Planning and Zoning Committee motion is that UNNC write a letter in opposition to this motion that would allow nuisance properties to have an expedited path to demolition, especially when this would provide loopholes for developers who might purposefully allow a property to fall into disrepair or worse, or otherwise create nuisances where none existed previously with the purpose to demolish. And further, that the governing board adopt a resolution that adopts the bullet points of opposition listed above in the agenda. So that's the Planning and Zoning Committee motion that I, Laura, am now making. Is there a second?
And I, Paula, second.
So discussion, and I think we should start with John because he's the co-chair, and I don't remember what your opinion was, but so I'm not the only voice here.
I think I helped write this motion at Planning and Zoning.
Probably so, I just don't remember. Well, but what do you think? I mean.
Oh, I think developers are wily, and if they want to cause a nuisance to get rid of a building, I could make my house a nuisance in a week and have it demolished under this new rule. So if it just opens up a loophole for just about anything that anyone wants to do regarding an existing building.
Okay, any comments, questions? Seeing none, should I call the question? I can't call. Can somebody call the question? I'm calling the roll, but I don't think I'm allowed to call the question.
I call the question.
Okay. Dorit.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Carlos.
Yes.
Tori.
Yes.
Greg, now that you're back, Gabby is absent. She's left for the day. Laura, yes. Paula.
Yes.
Raheem.
Yep.
Isaac.
Yes.
Marielle.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
And Hunter and Jasmine are ineligible. I'm noticing as we're getting towards the end of the night, and we usually are getting giggly by this time, that Hugo is not here to challenge each of you how to say yes in a different way, because he's not feeling well tonight. But I challenge you, you can do it without him. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yes, and 2 ineligible. Okay, Next item, Planning and Zoning Committee updates, possible follow-up to previous cases. We're not doing any voting. This is item D. Main update is finally, I'm actually in at least email contact with the new CD10, not the eventual final planning deputy, but the not yet hired planning deputy's boss. And we're going to start dealing with some of our many open land use cases because we've got a bunch going to council in the next couple of weeks. So that's a positive, but now I have to deliver all those letters that we approved to be delivered to her. Okay, so, and I don't, John, you don't have anything else, do you?
I do not.
Okay, President's report. Okay, number 11, A, reallocation of current at-large board seats due to clerical errors. So basically we have a problem. United Neighbors Neighborhood Council ought to have 6 at-large representatives group A seats and 5 at-large representative group B seats for a total of 11. However, right now we just refilled 2 of them, but that's because these are the seats we have. Somehow over the last 2 years or longer, not sure, probably last 2 years, the roster going back and forth between us and Dunn and different board members and Dunn ended up with 7 seats in group A and only 4 in group B. Issue being that when we have the election this spring, only 6 seats are electable. There is not a 7th seat that's electable, nor can we have a group B seat on the public ballot. So the question is, how do we correct this? How fast can we correct it? And so this involves, again, there's 7 people in the group A seats, and I would say 5, not the 2 we just appointed, should, potentially one way to handle it would be to decide who moves over into group B. Dorit has her hand up.
As one of the people who is in one of those seats, there's 5 of us. We can't flip a coin 5 ways, but there's got to be a way we could randomly pick somebody instead of playing favorites or voting for like whoever's been here longest or shortest or whoever everyone likes. It's not a beauty contest, but I think we should find a random way to pick the person to be moved over.
Right. Well, it'd be like virtual drawing of straws. I just don't know how one does that virtually. Greg?
Well, first, are there any volunteers? Who
Right.
Who are
needs
the
to move?
Volunteer?
Oh, the who's are, hang on, because it's on the BAC. The who's are Dorit. Well, I'm noting that everybody has a different backstory, not
It's
personal,
Carlos.
but it's
Carlos,
Dorit.
Gabby.
Hang on, Dorit, John, Carlos, Tori, Gabby, and I need to, that's not coming out to it. I'm so sorry. I need to pull back up that roster.
Tori's
Let Greg read
21.
them.
Oh, I was thinking I was 22. So I'm 21.
Yeah, no, Tori's one of them. So it's
Carlos, Gabby.
Let Greg read them. He's got them.
well, I don't know. Are you reading from, Greg, are you reading from the roster I sent you, not the training sheet?
Reading the names that need to
From
move
the
over.
Excel spreadsheet?
It doesn't matter. As long as I
Well,
give you
yeah,
the
no,
name.
your sheet and my sheet were not identical. I'm dealing with Dunn's provided sheet.
You go ahead.
Okay, so what I have from Dunn is John, Gabby, Carlos, Dorit, Tori. And now we have filled the two that we know are for sure just short term would be Hunter and Jasmine. So I don't think they're eligible to be moved up. We just appointed them. Well, you guys could disagree with me, but so those are the seats.
So what does volunteering do? Is what to move over? What does that mean?
You have another 2 years before running.
So it's a good thing. It's an easier
Well,
thing.
it's a good thing or a bad thing if someone wants to be done.
So mine is over on May this
Yeah.
year.
Exactly. So Adriana,
So,
okay. Yes,
So
Tori,
I can,
Adriana has her hand up. I think we probably need to hear from our Dunn representative.
Hi, everyone. I have a question just for clarification, Nora. Are you looking at
The roster.
rosters that's in our website or the one that's in your bylaws?
Not, okay. The one in our bylaws sets the number of seats. The one, the roster, the Excel spreadsheet sets the who's in them. But so again, that there's it's a clerical error. It's just hard to know when it happened. I was handed a roster in October 2019 when I was suddenly and accidentally elevated to be the president of this organization because the president had resigned. And what we now know is either it was already wrong or somewhere along the way, especially as the pandemic hit and we've been juggling and moving people around, somehow there's an error. I think the error already existed, and I say that only because if Adriana, you've had a copy of our roster, because this document I just keep saving as we make changes. The second sheet is an entirely different neighborhood council. It's the Hollywood Studio Neighborhood Council. So it's entirely possible that this was given to me as a save as from a different neighborhood council. So we can't figure out how it happened. It's just that the problem is we could do nothing. And then we just have 7 people who essentially all lose their seats, but they confuse to run, but there's only 6 seats to run for. And then come July 1st, we have an automatic vacancy because for a group B seat, because that seat can't be filled in the election. That's the issue. We cannot seat in the election.
I just wanted,
Adriana,
the reason why I was asking is because, as you know, I haven't really staffed any of your meetings in person. I just got appointed to UNNC very recently. So I don't have access to a lot of the information that you're mentioning. But what I can do for you is election is, I don't know if you're connected with the person that's your liaison for the election.
Yeah, we're working with him. Yeah.
You're working with him? Okay. To make sure that that's reflective in your ballot, because my understanding is that it's going to be on whatever's an attachment via your bylaws. It should be reflective of that. Sometimes our rosters, as you know, I just sent you an email like probably yesterday, I believe. There's technical issues with our website. We're in the middle of revamping our website.
Right.
And rosters sometimes, because there's a lot of different places where we have to log in, probably like 5 or actually it's probably 10 different databases that we keep, the Empower Light newsletter, the rosters and the training, all of that, right? Like it all gets intertwined, and every time there's an update on one, there has to be an update on everything. But for this specific scenario, I can, if you're already talking to the election representative or liaison, I can go ahead and just double check to ensure that the roster you're looking at is the same thing that they have. Because what we are looking at when it comes to city clerk's election division is the attachment B of your bylaws. That's kind of what we look into.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm saying. Comparing to our bylaws, we have a wrong mix. We're supposed to have 6 group A's and 5 group B's, not 7 and 4. That's the issue. So when this election is over, there will only have been 6 places to run. And we have 7. I mean, assuming that everybody wants to stay, which I don't know why we would assume that. But assuming everybody wanted to stay, they could not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And so on the website, it's even worse. And we don't even want to go there. On your website, meaning Dunn's website, we have 8 group A seats with 3 vacancies. So this is not useful or helpful. It makes it worse because we really don't have 8. Okay.
Okay, I'll look
I'm
into
saying,
it.
Adriana, it's kind of a mess, and I'm just trying to figure out how to solve the mess.
I know, and I'm gonna help you with it. I saw your agenda and I was like, okay, you know, I didn't get a chance because we've been busy and meetings after meetings. But I'm gonna get on it tomorrow and I'm gonna make sure, you know, you can go ahead and, you know, follow up with your motion, but I just wanna let the board know that I'm making a commitment to you all to get on this tomorrow because it's important, right? And part of the reason why it's a little bit confusing is just the names of your groups. They're
Yeah.
very similar. So even me as your NA, it could be hard. The average NC, to give you an idea, in South LA has like 11 board members or 12. Yours has 23. So it's a little, and then the names, the titles are a little bit intertwined. So it's a little bit confusing. But what I can, I'll go ahead and give you an update tomorrow and I'll send it to the board and I'll make sure that our election assistants gives you a copy of whatever it is that they're going to be producing in the ballot, right? So that you can be aware of what that is. I'm not sure if he or she already provided that to you, Laura, but if they haven't, I'll make sure that they do it immediately.
Right. So, and we do have an elections committee meeting on Tuesday. So Nancy has her hand up, then Paula, and then we'll go back to Dorit.
Well, Laura, just to confirm, you mentioned both Carlos and Gabby as having the 2021 seats.
Yes.
But what I recall is when in that meeting when they were elected, we kind of I thought we were going to give one of them a 2021 seat and another one a 2023 seat because we brought up the conversation about how when I and Janie were elected, we flipped a coin and we went back and forth on flipping the coin. So I don't know how they both ended up.
Do you
with
recall if, and Gabby's not here, but Carlos is, did we flip a coin or did we just discuss we were gonna flip a coin? So I understand that Paula has her hand up.
Yeah, we flipped the coin.
Well, who won or who lost?
What I recall is that Carlos got the longer seat and Gabby got the shorter term.
Carlos, what do you think? Do you
She's
remember?
absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct.
You got the longer seat, so we don't have an error except on the roster?
Correct.
There
Okay.
we go.
All right. And I'm so sorry. I have, these months have just really run into each other. Carlos, was this meeting with you and Gabby, was it already a Zoom meeting?
Yes.
Fine. I have the recording. I will look at it. I mean, I'll watch the recording. So we'll, whatever month it was, we'll figure it out. Whatever month it was, and whatever 4-hour meeting it was, I'll somehow look at the recording, and maybe we'll have a real answer. And for that,
I just looked at it and it's all
I know you
true.
would love to have the seat. Go ahead, Dory.
So Carlos, do you remember what month it was?
It was around August.
August? Okay. I'm gonna look at, because I was a
no,
secretary
earlier
then, I'll
than
look
that.
up the
That's
meeting minutes.
Oh,
No, it wasn't
It
August.
was earlier than that. It was
Yeah.
earlier than
in August because I have minutes from Gabby for tonight
Right.
from August. So
So Carlos, you don't remember what month it was?
July?
I know it's hard to remember what month anything is.
All right.
I don't remember. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Love honesty. Thank you.
Carlos,
Well, the only
look
thing I
at
do
that
remember is
email.
the day that we were voted in. So
Exactly.
whatever date that was, because that's when it came up. And they said, hey, you guys want to flip a coin? And Gabby just,
Right.
and she was, bless her heart, she was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure if I want to go ahead and do to 2023. And I said, hey, I'll take it. And then it went
Okay,
down
well,
just
you
like
know
that.
what? I'm really glad you guys just said this because I'm looking at the BACs. Gabby was appointed at large Group A. Carlos was indeed appointed at large Group B.
Sounds like we can move on.
We
Yeah.
can move on. So sorry.
So is the A correct now?
Yep. I just have to change the roster.
Because I thought I was 22, but okay, if I'm 21, I may just
Yeah,
stop.
the candidate filing is in 2 weeks. Starts in 2 weeks. Okay. Yay.
So what if I just want to not do it anymore after June 1st? What do I do?
You do nothing.
You don't file.
Don't fall.
You do nothing. You
Yeah,
don't
'cause
run.
I was thinking I was 22. Okay.
Okay. You do nothing. Okay, you guys, we're almost done. I'm still on President's Report 11B. Asai has, as you know, resigned, or, well, he's no longer on the board, thus he's also no longer UNNC's vice president. I don't know if anybody had thought about this. It's on the agenda, but we hadn't really had an at-length discussion about running for vice president. Anybody? So I will tell you what the job entails. It entails all the stuff that Greg and I have been trying to do mostly by ourselves tonight, helping run the meeting. It should entail having a Zoom license, even a free one, or that UNNC will get you one, so you can, along with me, be running half the committee meetings so that Laura doesn't have to run 100% of, by run, I mean, create, you know, be there, launch the Zoom meetings, etc. It would involve tracking attendance. Greg's been tracking training. He probably likes that, but it's technically the vice president's job. And we had agreed almost at the October 2019 retreat, and this is probably moot, that all the executive officers would attempt to take the funding training so that if we had to have to make a sudden change, that would happen. This hasn't happened yet, but these are most of the duties of the vice president. Greg, your thoughts? What else are we doing? The BACs, the vice president could be doing the BACs, not signing them, but doing, you know, doing what I've been doing tonight.
Yeah,
and attending executive committee meeting religiously on the third Tuesday of every month. These are the minimum things a vice president would be doing, and helping keep time at the meetings, being the parliamentarian. Have I gone through the whole list, Greg, or is there more?
You have.
Okay. So.
And preside in the absence of the president.
And preside in the absence of the president.
Can we start nominating people, or do we want to do self-nomination?
I think this is a self-nomination situation, and if
they can nominate themselves,
right, and
I wanted to nominate somebody else.
And or we can ponder it thoroughly. I mean, we're at the end of this meeting. I can write a long email with a better job description, which I should have done 3 weeks ago, but you know, it was sort of, we needed to wait till Asai really was resigned, just in case he changed his mind. And
I suggest that we wait till next month.
Yeah.
Laura, aren't these descriptions already pre-written in the bylaw?
Well, obviously not the Zoom administration stuff, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's for me, I mean, that may not be what you guys think is the most important, but for me, really at this point, the most important thing we need some help on administering these Zoom meetings.
Yeah. What about Adriana? She mentioned that they were redoing some things. I'm sure
right.
The technology is incorporated into that.
No, what I'm saying is I don't need help running the meetings. I'm trying very much with the chairs to let the chairs run their own meetings, but we have 12, 13, 14 meetings now a month.
No. I'm addressing the fact that you stated that you would write the job description.
Job description.
The description is already in the bylaws. So
yeah,
I'm trying to say that she said they're revamping some things.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's inclusive of the technology.
Right. The basic descriptions in the bylaws, the practical additional job description is what we're learning in Zoom. You know, so where we need the help is on the helping run these meetings. I mean, in other words, with Zoom, we know the attendance because we read it out loud, every few minutes. So that's a less hard thing to keep track of for a vice president. So what we have in the bylaws is the vice president's tracking training or standing roles and attendance. They don't have, and then they just stand in for the president. But we really actually have a lot more things right now. But let you know, we'll talk about it at executive to develop a really good job description, as it were, and get it out to everybody and hope for the best, so that for the next 5 months after this, maybe there will be a vice president. Okay. Secretary's report. Gabby turned in one. Gabby's been very, has had some issues getting the minutes done. We do have the proposed draft August minutes. Did anyone have a chance to read them? She sent them late this afternoon, and I included them, I think, in that whole group of things I emailed out, and it's in the packet. But has anybody actually?
There wasn't enough time. There was not enough time to get them read, for me at least.
Okay, so we don't want to sit here and read them now, obviously.
It's up to other people.
What do you guys think?
Other people by the name of Greg do not want to do that.
I can't hear you, Greg.
Other people by the name of Greg don't want to do that.
Okay, fine. Then let's.
I seem like such a grumpy person, don't I?
No.
Things to me.
It's your age.
All right. Then we moved on.
Oof.
If everyone's agreed, we're moving on to
Yes.
Treasurer's Report 13B, because 13A we already did.
Okay.
Wait a minute. That was August. The question was August minute?
Oh, yes, she's wait. Yeah, we have no minutes. We're gonna get in trouble.
Yes.
Adriana's been very kind. We haven't gotten in trouble yet. So Greg and I know.
So we have to do August, September, October, November, December for February?
Well, you record your meetings, right?
We do. No, I don't want to. Yeah, and not only that, I've
Am I on, or are we still talking about minutes?
we're sort of, yeah, we're still talking, but
I'll
you can
wait.
start screen
I'll wait.
sharing.
Yes.
It's not really there yet, though, Greg. Okay, you guys, let's not talk about someone who's not here. We know we have a structural issue, and we're going to solve it related to the minutes, okay? And yes, in February, but maybe we'll have the minutes 2 weeks from now and can share them with everybody, so you have them all memorized by the February meeting. Greg, you started screen sharing?
It says I'm paused.
No, they're there.
Okay. Okay, so
I don't see nothing.
Adriana has her hand up.
yes.
I just want to quickly share that while minutes are recommended for the neighborhood councils to have, right, because we want to have a summary of what took place in the meeting, per the bond policy, it's not something that's super mandatory for the neighborhood councils. It's something that we were looking into recently. I think there's changes to be made to that policy, but all neighborhood councils usually for best practices do have the minutes, but if you do have the recording, as long as you make it available to the public on your website, that can also substitute your minutes. So there's options that the board has on the matter. I just wanted to put it out there.
Okay. Well, maybe the best idea for August through January, if Rahim is still here, is if I just give you a flash drive with all of the Zoom recordings. And somehow, or give it straight to Ann and Doug at the website and just get this up. What do you think?
I mean, these 18-hour meetings will be huge video files.
Yeah, no, I'd have to give them a flash drive with all of it. It'd be multiple gigabytes, maybe 2 flash drives. Okay, so we will resolve this for February, because the resolution of past minutes is not even on the agenda.
Madam President, may I present?
Yes, and then Adriana has a little report as well.
Okay, so approving the MERS is the main thing, but I just want to take a few minutes to go over where we have money at. And if anything catch your attention, please let me know. Okay, so this is our overall budget allocation. This was our rollover for the year. This is money that we encumbered. This section was money wrote for our Clean Street Fund. Coming down here, we established money in different pots. This is where we have some leeway. For example, training and board retreat, we put aside $500. We need to decide, are we going to have any training retreats? That's $500 that we have available. In the past, as you know, we had dinner at meetings. That's another $1,665 that's available for us to reallocate. We have $2,396 set aside for office equipment. I doubt that we will spend all that. We will probably spend the postage. We probably will not spend any money on temporary staff, though we always had that on our in our budget. We have not used money in the last couple of years for translation, but we put money aside for that.
Yeah, on the phone system, we actually already did vote to increase that because the price increased.
Okay, all right, so just remind me what that is
Yeah.
later on.
I don't remember to what, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Website, that's a major reoccurrence. Money set aside based upon previous action for the communication committee. Money set aside for business cards that we never seem to get around to buying, but we have money set aside for that. That's our general operating funds. You can see we have some leeway in that. Event expenses, some of those events, well, to be advertising, pins, magnets, just to get the word out. That's money for anybody to advertise, UNNC. I see this mostly as something that Lizzie would have more say, and then communication committee would use.
And that's and Greg, so about $300 of that has been spent already. Is that what?
Yes, that has been. Those are your Facebook posts and booths and things like that. $292. Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Event expenses. This is again events that we probably will not have because of COVID. So that's money that's there. We put $5,000 for World Harvest because that's what we spent at the end of last year, at the end of COVID. But we could decide to give money in other places. Again, that was to make sure that people had food at the end of the year because of COVID and employment. So that was a very good thing that we did. We, neighborhood purpose grant, we used a portion of that already. School project that was larger, but we reduced it down. So we can move funds from there. And then as we go down here, these are the footnotes. This is the balance that we have, $41,360.06. When we approve the merge from December, I think it's only going to go, well, I haven't seen the merge from December yet, but I know we have another less than $5 on booths that we spent. We need a bill from Ann. But this is where, when we make adjustments, like for example, when we talked about the fire station, we put, for planning purposes, we put $500 on each of these line items. But since we will probably not hold these events, if we are going to fund, and this is where we need a decision from the group, we can fund the money for the fire station by taking money from these projects here, which I've highlighted in yellow, or we could take money from the community improvement projects. I think have school projects, we could take funds from there. I would recommend that we take it from these events because we are still trying to outreach to different organizations to see if they, I think we are still trying to do outreach to different organizations. Yeah, this again, this is just a footnotes of the information that's up above. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
the walk on Washington, we did not do last year and we're not gonna do this year either, probably.
Correct.
Yes.
Is there a reason why that is not highlighted?
Because when I was highlighting, I just highlighted a few to get to the amount for the $3,000 that was requested. No particular reason why that was not highlighted. So.
And the Benny Potter Park and the Winter Festival.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we could, I know I know that the Walk on Washington, we talked about doing it in a different way, maybe a virtual way.
Yeah.
So I know that the odds of that these items would probably drop first, but we still want to do something for Walk on Washington because that's still deal with economic development and supporting community members.
And the Benny Potter Park, we could probably shift that to Benny Potter Park improvement or something where something can go on so they can stop the other activity that had occurred last year.
Right, right. But for right now, it's the issue is not necessarily moving it from here. The issue is that this is what we have. And for the event, for the request that we have, the $3,000, we have to move it from somewhere.
Right.
But it's not allocating money to other unproposed projects or requested projects.
Well,
So Greg, are you looking for a motion?
Well, it's mostly academic. It's mostly, yes, but it's mostly just, I just want you to know.
Yes.
And then your preference, because I remember one time I was saying I was going to take money from here, and then the thought was, take half from one section and half from another section. So I don't really know that we need a motion. I just want people to be aware so that, later on when I show it to you, say, where's the money for this? The guy comes up like, where's my money? Where's my money? And I went to Tahiti.
Well, I concur that it come from events, and you are the best one to know which of the events. I concur with that.
Right, but I would also say, Greg, it's becoming increasingly unlikely that we're going to have food at board meetings.
Yes. Yes.
In other words, we kept thinking it'd be a few more months, but yeah.
Right, and that's why I said that in the beginning. It's there, but it's available for us to use.
Correct, and obviously the fire day already has 500, so you need to find 2,500. So, but I do think this can be mostly done by you. I don't know that the board has to vote. I think what you need to do is figure it out, and then at the February meeting, we need to ratify what you did instead of sitting here and kind of parsing it out.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I just want people to know. So I'm gonna stop sharing.
Greg, I think from a procedural point, it's important to recognize that list are tentative. And so we have money in events, we have sufficient funds. It can come from wherever we decide, and then we make a motion to approve. We don't have to belabor that, there's this little category and that category, because until those organizations have those events and come to us and ask for funding, there's no commitment to funding there.
Exactly. It's for planning purposes. Exactly.
But I also think, you guys, we need to realize we're getting to the point where we do need to start spending. So I will just give you a heads up. And if you're interested in this, you should come to a week from tonight environmental committee. We have the $3,996 that we kept for trees, the committee members have been out looking all up and down our commercial corridors for spots for trees, and they may come back and say we need $3,000 more. I wouldn't necessarily, for watering and maintenance of trees or new young trees. So, and that's not a bad thing. And the Garden School Foundation may be coming to us with a proposal. That's not a bad thing. But because we're going to have to start funding things, or
And the cameras for the rec center.
Pardon?
You're mentioning other things, so I was gonna throw it out there. There might
cameras.
be
Did you say cameras for the rec center?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, although I think they sort of rejected us giving them money. It was hard to understand the whole conversation. So I'm glad you have that on your agenda next Monday, because let's hammer that one out too, right?
Cool.
Dorit, I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also for your individual neighborhoods, if there are projects that you want to have funded, please have your representative from your neighborhood come in and present that.
Right. Because I think we'll get to the point where if we don't spend it, we're going to lose it, and we're nearing that point, because some of these things might take 60 days to get approval on from the city. So okay.
I'm done.
All right, Adriana. I don't know if your hand's still up by accident, but I know you had some report to give. Oh, and then she
yes, it was.
She's coming back.
It was by accident, but I do have my report. I'm gonna keep it very short. I just want to start by saying thank you for your leadership and commitment to the communities you represent, especially during these hard times. I know a lot of us lost loved ones during the pandemic. So if you've lost a loved one or someone close in your circle, my condolences to you and your family. And it's late, so I'm gonna do my best to keep the report short, but there is very important information taking place in our department that I want you to be aware of. The first one is furloughs in our department. All of this information was sent to you through the monthly profile. I want to ask, how many of you read the monthly profile? Just be honest.
Uneven, yeah.
Okay, some of you, okay, that's great. I know when I was a board member a few years ago, I didn't read it. I'm just being honest. I wasn't even in the roster's email. So I didn't really get them. So that's part of the reason why whenever there's a roster's miscommunication, I know Laura is very diligent about that. I take it very serious, because I've been there where I'm not in the roster, and for 2 years I didn't receive any communication. So I want to also let you know that the City Council has taken action to implement mandatory furloughs and unpaid holidays for city employees as part of the fiscal year 2020-2021. The departments receive instructions to implement 1 furlough day per month starting this month, which is January 2021 through June 30th, 2021. And our department has conducted an assessment of the potential service impact that you may experience by the furlough. So as a result, essentially, our department decided, when looking at the dates when neighborhood councils don't meet, that we're going to be closing 2 times per month. So it would be on a Friday, every other Friday. And the first Friday would start on January 29th. And if you would like to know the dates, they're going to be in our Empower LA calendar if you would like to know. But I just want to put it out there in case you contact me on a Friday. I'm going to have notification on my email. I'm going to do my best, to answer everything. But I also want to share with you all that there are going to be changes coming down the line in terms of NEA assignments. A lot of changes are going to happen, meaning that some of us might not have the same neighborhood councils anymore. Starting February. We still don't know the details of how that's going to take place. Our general manager will be announcing it to you all once it's finalized via our newsletter. And we're going to have a transition, and we're going to plan all of that. And again, this is unexpected. We do have our department's budget right now. It's we actually revised it recently as well. We had to submit a revised proposed budget of $3,036,136, so it's something that's going to be mandated for us to kind of cut a reduction of $93,000 in our expense funding. So that has implications in the work we do and the service we provide to you all. And I also want to remind you all that in February next month and also March, the mayor's office and the city administrator's office is going to be holding budget hearings with departments to collaborate, review budget proposals. So this is a great opportunity to share, your concerns that you may have in terms of how this will impact you. Because, it also impacts, the different, within our department, we have different divisions. We have the division for public policy outreach, and then we also have operation divisions. So all of them are going to be impacted, and we're doing our best to ensure that it doesn't impact the areas that need the most support severely. Your council, to be honest with you, is one of the councils that I always tell Laura when she comes to the meetings, that is really on top of your game in terms of making sure that the agendas are posting correctly and a lot of our policies, right? A lot of other neighborhood councils, that's not the case. They need a little bit more hand holding. So I want to make sure that you are also aware that there's opportunities to submit CISs on the budget file. If that's something your board would like to do, or to also provide public comment. We do not have the dates yet, but as they are scheduled, we will be notifying the board via our Empower LA newsletter as well. Also, we understand that the neighborhood councils have gone through a lot of challenges during this pandemic. Our whole world actually, it's right now it's mourning because there's a lot going on in society as well. And we are seeking stories from you about how your neighborhood council took action to support those affected by COVID-19. We want to hear from you. I know a lot of you took action for the emergency funds that were taken when we first had the stay-at-home order. Because it's good to know a lot of people in the community don't really know about the neighborhood councils, and you are all active right now, right? Despite everything that's going on in the world, you're still here meeting, moving forward, advocating for your community. And we want people to kind of have an idea that that's happening. And with that doing a video highlighting your work would be something that can help us accomplish that. So you can send the email to they can do like a short 1-minute video, like a selfie video, just sharing some of the work, or you can get creative and do a professional one. Some councils have done that. You can send me any videos, or if you want to talk to me about ideas you may have, I'd be happy to provide some resources on how to capture videos as well. And then the last I want to cover is the launch of our data liaison program. I don't know how many of you have heard of it, but the last time we had it around, it was partnership with the mayor's office. We want to make sure that as board members, you have access to data pertaining to your neighborhood council. So we have our Empower LA portal, which is www.empowerla/data, has a lot of data about COVID. It has data about 311 services, different departments, and it can be divided by different regions, including per your neighborhood council. And the program essentially is going to be launching on Thursday, January 28th, and from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. The information is in your monthly profile, but I'd be happy to send you, I'm gonna send you a reminder before then in a calendar invite, because I figure that really helps people remember about the meetings. We have so much going on. But in this workshop, you're gonna have the opportunity to design your own maps and create data visuals that pertain towards your neighborhood council. I have another council, Empowerment Congress Southwest, is actually working one-on-one with our data liaison, Julian, to create a story map regarding development. They're in their area, and that way when developers come, they have an idea of what they're doing. They're also looking at all the businesses that are in their area so that they can do more outreach. There's so many different things that you can do with the data, and I just want to make you aware that that's an opportunity that's coming down the pipeline. That's pretty much all I have for my report. I don't want to take much more of your time, but thank you so much for your service. It's truly an honor to be with you all during these tough times. We started since the stay-at-home order together, and I don't know if I'm going to be staying with you as your NEA with all this shifts, but we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you updated as it unfolds.
Thank you, Adriana. So I think the data program is going to be fantastic. And I know Greg was interested in learning more about it, and no doubt others are. I don't know if you're in a position to bring kind of back a message to your higher ups that programs like the data liaison program is what helps us. But every time that they announce we're going to, we are going to come up with another citywide policy for neighborhood councils. So, right now we're talking about this digital social media policy. And then Raquel mentioned just a week ago that it's taking time to go back and do more Zoom policy making. Your staff is limited, and I wish in this limited amount of time and energy could be focused on programs that help us, like the data liaison, and not policy making, which just creates more bureaucratic hoops for us. So that's my opinion. We haven't voted on my opinion. This is Laura speaking. Dorit?
Thank you for sharing, Laura. I'll definitely make a note of that.
Yeah, and Dorit has her hand up.
Adriana, you were mentioning a profile that were sent. Is that the Empower email that goes out that's kind of like an email blast, or is there something else that we should be receiving? Because if there's something else we should be receiving, I'm not receiving it.
The monthly empowerment profile. We just
so
got
that's the one that goes out to everybody, not specific to our neighborhood council.
We got our own, Dorit. You didn't get it the other day?
I haven't gotten it ever.
Okay, that's good to know. It's called Empower LA/monthly profile, and it has your neighborhood council. And this is mostly for you as neighborhood council members. It doesn't
Adriana,
really go
I've
out.
never gotten that. How can I make sure I get it? Because I like reading bureaucratic stuff.
So if your email is on our rosters, let me double check the email we have here. I can follow up with you. Because if it's in the rosters, you should be receiving the email. And I believe Laura just requested for the rosters to be updated.
Right, but let me look at, Dorit, I will tell you the email.
Is this it? empowerla@lacity.org?
Right, no, but in other words.
Yes, that's what it is.
What is it under, Adriana?
It's yes, it's the one correct. It's the one you mentioned. It's the email that it comes from is empowerla.
Yeah, here it is, Dorit.
Dorit, the email that they have, they have officially our UNNC emails, but when it goes to the UNNC at Empower LA, it's probably going to Dorit Deneen, that one of your emails.
Okay, Adriana, what if I email you tomorrow, because I'm not getting it, and then we could work out whatever glitch it is, okay?
Yes, please do. I want to make sure you're getting it, and I'll forward you the email as well that we sent out with the monthly profile.
Dorit, I just forwarded you one of them, the latest.
I know. Thank you. I just want to get them in the future because I'm not getting them. So I'll work with Adriana tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Are you receiving my communications that I've sent?
No. So I'll work with you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
But Adriana, Dorit's not the only one. I'm sure others aren't getting it either.
Is anyone else not receiving any communications from our department?
So Adriana, my question is, do you guys, you would do UNNC at Empower LA, and then it would go to everybody, right? In theory.
Yeah, that's when we update the rosters, that's what it goes. All your emails get merged to that email.
Okay, so my question, because I never do it that way, except for today I did. When I sent out the correct link for the agenda packet, I was on the fly, so I just, instead of looking up everybody's emails, I did UNNC at Empower LA. How many of you do not know what I'm talking about? Meaning I sent a standalone email saying, here's the correct agenda packet link. Did you all get that?
Okay, I want to know.
I did.
9 times out of 10, the Reeds is in spam. But Adriana, what's the one you're talking about with your name on it?
Well, the last one I sent out was a reminder, was in a calendar invite to you all about yesterday's South LA Regional Meeting for
Right.
Outreach and Elections.
Right, but what
Yes.
email would it come from?
Adriana.
My
Don't let
personal
her
email.
say it, please.
Yeah, my work email, I'm sorry. My work email is adriana.cabrera@lacity.org.
Hey, just a quick question. Is there any way to have that Empower LA email just sent to all the first name dot last name at UNNC.org? Because we have all the forwards set up on our hosting site, and we have the power to like change and rearrange those as we do when when things get changed. So is there any reason why that Empower LA email doesn't just forward to our UNNC.org domain email addresses?
Well, that's the email that we use to communicate with you all, because we have about average 9 NCs. So you can only imagine how many board members we have in total. So
Yeah, but I'm saying that UNNC at empowerla.org, it like forwards to individual email addresses for all the board members, right? So I'm saying those individual email addresses should be the UNNC.org domain emails, because that's what we have, that's what we use to then forward to board members' personal emails that they tell us to use.
the emails that we use are what is submitted to us via your rosters.
Right. So
yeah, so we need to change that. We should change that, Laura.
Yeah.
No. What
she sent Adriana, you sent the one that said SLANC elections outreach session Zoom yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, I got everything. Okay, I got it.
Okay, so for everybody to be clear, what's on the roster is for each person is 2 email addresses. One is the official UNNC council email address, Raheem, what you're talking about. It's on the roster, and that's, I think, what they're using.
It is.
And then
if Doris,
the
listen,
internal use emails not to be made public. So we'll let Adriana can check that with rosters just in case that's not the case.
Yeah, well, because if Dorit's not getting them, Dorit has access to her UNNC.org domain email. So if she's not getting them, that kind of tells me that that's not what's being used.
I understand.
I haven't gotten anything, and I do not have spam. I do not have a spam folder. So everything comes to me and I'm not getting them.
Okay, so what I can do, if you're not receiving any emails, please email me. I'm gonna look at your rosters. We're gonna double check your rosters tomorrow, because I know that there was a request for it to be updated very recently. And I'll just double check the most recent one, and I'll check in with Laura on that, because I understand you have a UNNC email, but oftentimes what I found with my other neighborhood council, similar patterns happen. So they just made up their own email for their neighborhood councils, or sometimes they're not checking their emails that's associated to the website. So just making sure that you are, just check in with the secretary of your council or whoever's looking at the rosters, that they have the correct contact information. It could also be on our end, so I'll double check on our end. But from what we just updated your roster like 2 days ago with the changes, with the new board members and the people that resigned as well.
Yeah, the way that this one reads, it has like the actual topic, and then it has the date that you sent it, and it has my UNNC.org in parentheses, and then it defaulted into my personal email. So it's working for me.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just letting you know, it puts the UNNC in parentheses up there at the top.
So maybe it might be a technical issue on the UNNC email.
I doubt it. Not if I'm getting it. So I'm sure somebody, I'm getting it. Okay. And it's coming correctly.
All right. Well, if you're not getting it, if you can let Laura know or myself, I'd be happy to make sure that I look further into it, because we do send a lot of communication to you. We send you our Power Lake newsletter. Anytime that there's any, especially right now with all the things that are going on in terms of safety and in the government, we're not physically going to City Hall right now, but in case there's an emergency ever, like that's where we're gonna contact you. Right. So we want to make sure we have that. If there's anything that happens in terms of like COVID updates or any of that, like we're always sending a lot of different events through that email. That is the only way we mostly communicate with you, is via email. Yeah. Yeah. So please take the time to check. As I told you, when I was a board member, I didn't even, it was different times. The department had like, each NEA had like 18 neighborhood councils. It was different, right? But we really, especially for me, like I take that very serious because it feels awful to not be like, it's basically like you're disconnected from our system, basically, if you're not receiving the emails. You're not being kept on the loop of everything that's impacting your leadership in the council.
Right.
So it's very important.
Okay. Anything else? Greg did not get his desire of a 2-hour meeting.
Funny. You know, that's funny. I got it in a draft too. Okay, this is weird.
Hey, I'm looking at the data website. So to the board members, can I be informally and formally appointed as the data person for UNNC? So I can fill out the registration that I'm formally.
Yeah, I think we did vote you in.
No, we discussed it.
Oh,
So
did
you
we?
said-
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm gonna put I've been appointed as the.
And you have two? I wouldn't mind doing that.
Right. Well, I also think our Economic Development Committee, hint, hint, it sounds like would be really interesting stuff in these data links.
Yep, sure would. I'm gonna bring it to 'em.
You can have up to 3. And you know, the reason why we have 3 is because of quorum. Some councils have 7 board members or 9. So that's why we played a safe number. But if you want to have more than that, you do have a very large amount of neighborhood council board members. So that number wouldn't apply to. We just put 3 to be safe for the other neighborhood councils that have less board members. I can advocate if there's more interest of more than 3 people for you all to have a little bit more board members attend.
So, Adriana, do you think, is it at all feasible, as everybody's workload is less, did you say there is actually going to be a session on this for all neighborhood councils? I think I was daydreaming. Did you actually say that during your presentation that Dunn is going to have a meeting on this?
Well, okay, so they're still developing the program, but the intention is for it to only be available to the data liaisons. It's going to be a program to teach those 3 data liaisons on how to use the systems, because they are very complex systems. I'm still learning the ArcGIS, the GeoHub, and it takes multiple sessions to learn all of that, right? Versus it's different than how when we first did the program, it was open to the public. It was open to anybody that wanted to attend. It was more informational. This one's going to be more of a curriculum that they're developing. So it's a program versus like a one-time event. And that's why we want to have at least 3 people appointed, because what happens is that sometimes board members leave, people don't show up, and then the updates get lost and you have to start all over. For this program, it's a little bit more advanced. I forgot to mention it. So we're recommending that the persons that you appoint are people that are somewhat tech savvy, because there's going to be an effort to kind of have in the future different types of programs with different types of levels of access to technology. We recognize that may be a barrier, so we're working on that, especially launching one in Spanish. Everything's in English right now, so a lot of people don't feel included. So we're conscious of that, and we're working on that as well. But as for this program, I would strongly recommend those 3 people have also access to a laptop, because if you're connected via your phone, it's going to be very hard for you to follow along with it as well. So it does require a little bit more than the other programs we've had in the past. This is the first time we're doing this.
Okay. And last question, especially if we can go to more than 3, it can be non-board members, right?
Yes, correct.
Because I'm saying the words out loud. If you do it, Norman Gilmore, who was always our data guy and had left the board because he got so in deep with data that he's now doing this for a living. So, but he still lives right here in UNNC. Okay, but it is after 11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock.
Oh my
So
God.
Yeah, I know.
This
Oh
is
my God.
crazy.
Well, we did start at 7:30 and I apologize, you guys.
God.
I
Just wrap it
know,
up.
but
Yeah.
we
Okay,
did
let's just
start
say
at
bye.
7:30 in
Yeah,
order not
seriously,
to
Say
bye.
conflict with the
Bye.
meeting.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody is, yeah, bye.
Bye.
Jesus
Good night,
Christ.
everyone.
Bye. This is
Bye-bye, good night.
Officially adjourned. Did you adjourn the meeting?
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Hunter and Jasmine, Greg will hook up with you and we'll all hook up with rosters to get you guys into the loop fast.
Yes, Sim-
Greg,
Thank you.
yes,
can you,
Bye.
you give me a call
yes. When?
now?
Tomorrow?
Right now.
Okay, send me Jasmine and Hunter's email, please.
I will do that. So
Thank you so much.
I'm about to end the meeting because, you know, I'm not at home.
Okay,
Right.
bye. Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Good
Bye.
night,
You
everybody.
wonderful people. Bye.
Adjourn
Bye-bye.
at 11:08. Huh?
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Love you.
I'm hitting end, sorry. And